It's January 2026. Everyone's reinventing themselves, optimism is high, gym memberships are peaking, and lies to ourselves are being told with absolute confidence.
New year, new me. Only kidding, the old me was a legend.
Can we bring up the picture of Homer in a moo-moo now, please?
Valentine's Day, like what a load of bollocks, right? Just, be nice to your wife and buy her flowers every now and again. It doesn't have to be on a specific date.
I have read one book recently, so yes, it was a cookbook.
And I remember turning to her and I said, please don't take this the wrong way.
It's the Australian holiday of toothbrushes.
Moisturising. I, like most British men, moisturiser was something we heard women talk about, much like you hear about the suspension on the moon landing.
It's the most mental thing I've ever seen in my life. I used to run to the Top Gun soundtrack. If you think about the slightly homoerotic Playing with the Boys song.
I'm still not sure how Spandau Ballet fits in, but just like this episode, it has been gold. And we're off. Welcome to episode 4, New Year, New Me. It is the 15th of January. It's the evening, and we've managed to get, for this podcast, 5 guests, which has broken up the feng shui of how we all look, but we're just going to have to all deal with it. So I'm sure AJ, I think that's the reason we are not 6, because he couldn't cope with having 5 instead of 6. He's very grumpy about it. So anyway, look, hello and welcome to The Last of the Line. So it's a podcast for people who still remember life for notifications, algorithms, and being told how many steps we haven't done today. It's January 2026. Everyone's reinventing themselves, optimism is high, gym memberships are peaking, and lies to ourselves are being told with absolute confidence. So tonight we're asking whether self-improvement used to be easier, whether willpower has been replaced by apps, and why cars might now be more fun to experience and then to own. So this is episode 4, New Year, New Me, probably. John, you wanted to do a quick poll.
Yes, I was just wondering, I love I see this phrase on Facebook a lot where someone says, new year, new me, only kidding, the old me was a legend. And it's sort of...
It numbs me up perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because I sort of think it's a bit weird that we rely on a calendar date, isn't it, to push us into some resolution somewhere anyway. So I just thought, well, let's start off by asking whether people are pumped about the new year, whether they see a good year ahead, or whether it's just another day. What do you think? Pompey, let's go to you first.
I think it's a bit overhyped. Yeah, I think the thing about New Year's resolutions, people get overexcited. People become overly optimistic about something. Yeah, I think it's overhyped, basically. You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter. It could be any day of the year. You choose 1st of December, I don't know, 23rd of January to start a new resolution. Why particularly? Just because it's the new year, I suppose it gives something for people to hang their hats on. But
I have a little theory on why it's the first. I mean, other than it being obviously the new year and a new number to write down for the year. But after Christmas and the sort of binge we'll go through and the financial freefall we'll go through, maybe it is a bit of a time to reset. How are you feeling about it, Dennis?
I'm optimistic. Every year is another lap, right? It's another opportunity to tweak and improve and do better and all that stuff. Yeah, it's arbitrary. And for a while over here, I started to do a Roman New Year thing where, because for a while in the Roman calendar, their New Year was the 1st of April, which totally makes sense, right? Like right now, 1st of January, you're like, yay, it's a new year. By which I mean, here's another 2.5 months of shit weather with no change, nothing to look forward to. It's bleak and miserable. Boo earns, but yay, it's the beginning. Is it arse? It should start at the start of spring when it's actually the new year. But here we are. But yeah, like it's fully arbitrary for sure. But any kind of excuse to force yourself to jump through some hoops and try some shit. Most of it might not stick. We'll get onto that next chat, I guess. But like, even if it's an arbitrary excuse, let's freaking go. Let's try it out.
Optimistic. Does Shomit feel the same optimism?
I'm kind of in between. I kind of like the 1st of April idea because, your tax return's done, you've paid your bill, you're ready for the new year. uh, yeah, I'm in the middle. So I kind of, I'm looking forward to the new year. Hopefully, lots of fun things ahead. And like in January is when we start looking at what we're going to do for the year. So I don't know, things like booking holidays and planning, when we're going to be away, what we're doing when. And that's all fun. And there's a lot of that fun stuff happening right now. But at the same time, like as far as things like resolutions and being like, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because it's the new year. We're not doing it because of that. It's just because that's the way our calendar works. So January is the time that we start planning what we're going to do for 2026. And it's all quite fun and exciting.
Good. Another optimistic one. That's 2-1 to the optimists. I'm not sure where I sit. I'm going to abstain on that. Sam, where are you?
I think I'm optimistic in the way somebody would be optimistic when they've been punched in the face, but they've not actually been knocked down. Because I think, like, you're like, whoa, not down. I'm not out, but I'm still there. Because I think if I look back to last year, I think financially and from a work perspective, last year was pretty brutal for me. But personally, oddly brilliant. So I think last year proved for me that maybe work and life don't peak at the same time, and that's probably okay. So I think last year was professionally painful, personally priceless. So I'm going to go with neutral tending towards optimistic.
All right, fair enough. Pomps.
That is exactly what I want to say. I think I'm not over it. I'm not negative about this year. I think that there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot ahead in 2026. But there's quite a bit, of negativity as well. But I think I've got more optimism than negativity. So I'd go neutral, leaning towards optimistic.
All right. I'm going to side with the optimists here. I think there's a lot to be excited about this year. Yeah. I've got some good things happening. I think this year we're going to go to Japan with the kids. We have a sort of, full year calendar worked out. We've got a lot of very cool projects on at work. So I think it's,
Nice.
I hope we all have a great year and also do many more of these podcasts.
Yay.
Sam, over
good.
to you, mate.
So I think before we get started into our first topic around New Year's resolutions, a little bit of a mea culpa. It's mainly from me, but let's just blame everyone else as well. I think we had a bit of lack of organisation in the first 2 episodes, which meant our pretty terrible running gag about our completely unaware sponsor, which wasn't funny in the first place, needs to come to an end. So we've done something about it. If you now visit the We Love section of our website, last of the line, all one word, no spaces, .co, because we couldn't afford a .com. Now that we've done some Googling, you will find a plethora of different ways to contact our good friend and master personal trainer, Chris Horton. He's based in Horsham, West Sussex. He can train you in person or remotely, and the best way to contact him is using his WhatsApp link, which does work from our website, and I'm very proud I got that to work. He's also a good-looking chap, so we've included an action shot of him. And whilst I know I can personally recommend him, he is the man that has helped me lose, and I checked the number, 17 kilograms of weight, whilst getting significantly stronger at the same time. And I know every single one of us on the podcast has benefited from his health and fitness wisdom over the years. So Chris Horton, you are now officially acknowledged, properly thanked. And so now let's move from actual self-improvement to the imaginary kind.
Just a second.
Questions.
17. Did he chop off a leg? What have you done?
I don't know if you remember the picture of me in Marseille, but I don't think it's too big a leap to wonder where that's all gone from that.
Can we bring up the picture of Homer in a moo-moo now, please?
I mean, unsurprisingly, I don't have it to hand. It's not something I keep, but I'm sure whilst the podcast is going on, we could probably find it. So,
is the plural of mea culpa wea culpa a thing? Can
absolutely. Yeah. If you remember all the Latin we studied at prep school, it's absolutely that.
Sure. Good.
All right. Question 1. Let's go.
All right, then. Let's go. So, are New Year's resolutions always a lie? It's time for the annual tradition of deciding who we're going to be and then quietly giving up on it. Most people give up within weeks. Habits take far longer than we pretend, and yet every January we act shocked when it doesn't work. But the stats don't lie. Only 9 to 10% of people say they consistently keep New Year's resolutions. 45% abandon resolutions within the first month, and habit formation takes approximately 66 days on average. So tonight we want to ask, were resolutions easier when life was simpler, or have they always been an optimistic fantasy we enjoy repeating once a year? And I think we should go to Simon Denman to kick us off.
Okay. I think a few things. One, I think, sure, it was probably easier when you had fewer things to concentrate on. I think this is a running thread through all of this, right? As we got busier, the world's got busier, you're more saturated and some stuff has got harder. But I think there's also a bit here where it's set up as a binary thing. Either it's you succeed or you fail. And I'm actually not sure that that's a productive way of thinking about this stuff. So, for example, I've got a recurring annual calendar thing on the 1st with my resolutions that I've been keeping since 2018. And every year, at the end of the year, I add the next year and mark off which ones I succeeded or failed at. But a sort of meta commentary on that is actually loads of the ones that I've failed at over the years stay on the list. And eventually I work out ways of doing them. Like having the resolution of just the upfront resolution, I'm going to lose weight or whatever. Maybe you won't do anything about it that year. But if you keep it in your mind, just having a reminder every year makes it likely that eventually you'll put something in place that will give you the scope to succeed. And we're going to talk about software and stuff, outsourcing, control phones, blah, 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 in the next section. But yeah, I think just having the reminder is a start, and that will start to feed into smart targets, measurables, atomic habits, all of the structures of scaffolding you can put in place that makes it likely that you actually succeed. I feel like even though it's simplistic and binary and basic, having the 1st of January, I'm going to be better, is at least a little bit of a nudge towards the cascade that gets you there.
Question for you, Dennis. Would you say in the US, particularly where you are in California, and particularly where you are in California, in San Francisco, are New Year's resolutions a bigger deal, do you think? Do people talk about them more? I just get the impression that there's so much self-improvement going on there that this is a hot topic all the time. Maybe not. It's obviously a hot topic all year round, but is it a particular hot topic?
Yeah, good question. San Francisco is the healthiest city in the US. I don't know because I live and work from home and I basically only talk to my cat's over there. And subsequently, I'm a bad person to ask about this. Probably. I think it's a reasonable assumption. I've talked to a few folks about resolutions since the start of the year, and they've gone, yeah.
Mate,
that's
can I sorry to go on a tangent then. What you saying that San Francisco is the healthiest city in the US? By what metric is that? I mean, it's literally a disease. You're saying it's the least diseased.
No. In terms of fitness, working out, that kind of stuff, probably
okay.
BMI. Maybe I saw a report about it. I can't remember what the metric was. I can dig it up if you need it, Jonathan. But
no, I don't need it. It's just that I read once a book by Michael Schellenberger called San Francisco, and I thought, it's a book on the mental state of San Francisco more than anything else, I suppose.
Oh, well, I can very much imagine two things can be true.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, when you talk about health and fitness, I can believe that. But maybe not the other side of it. Yeah. All right. Sorry, tangent.
No.
Dutz, what have you got to say?
I've never ever stuck to a New Year's resolution. I kind of, much like many things which have a date put to it, I think it's a bit pointless. Like you could, as Pompey said earlier, you can just pick any date and just do something. Like it's a bit like Mother's Day and things like that. Why don't you just buy your wife flowers every now and again, regardless of a made up date that someone's just said this is the date that you should do this? Like recognize your wife for being a great, Valentine's Day. Like what a load of bollocks, right? Just, be nice to your wife and buy her flowers every now and again. It doesn't have to be on a specific date. Although I have to do it on a specific date, otherwise I'll get in trouble. But that's a different conversation. I think every New Year's resolution I've ever made, I have probably abandoned within about a week. Apart from when I was younger, I always used to say, that for my New Year's resolution, I'd give up chocolate. And for those of you who know me well, I have never eaten chocolate. So it's a very easy resolution to make.
I asked one of my kids today what his New Year's resolution was, and he said, build more Lego. It's like, come on, man, that's not hard, is it? You're not challenging yourself there.
That's a great New Year's resolution.
Did he have measurable targets for this? Were there numbers involved?
Yeah, 70,000 pieces he wants to build in the year.
I was going to say, John, did you just mishear him? Did he just say, buy more Lego rather than build it?
Well,
just buy me Lego. My resolution is you will buy it. Yeah, you will buy it for me.
He's saved up a lot of money and he's just bought a set that's a metre long. It's sort of the equivalent of the Death Star that you built back in the day, Sam.
I absolutely loved this. It wasn't Sam. It was his brother, by the way.
It wasn't me. I took no part in that. We still. Do you know what? We still have that, and it is still holds a significant section of a storage room with a big sign on it saying "Do not touch." And we had a long discussion about it yesterday evening about what happens to that thing, and we have agreed it is going to be rebuilt and mounted from the ceiling.
It's probably worth a couple of grand, by the way.
Yeah, we are aware. So,
yeah.
Hunty, is the meter Lego the proposed desert wall in Saudi Arabia? Is it just a meter long wall?
Yeah, that's right. It's just one single long block.
The line.
Finish. No, it's a Veneta class Star Destroyer, whatever that is.
Oh,
so that
cool.
big triangular ship from
Star Wars. Cool ship.
And cool. I'm a bit jealous of it, but I also can't let myself as an adult go into building Lego. Just it doesn't.
Wait.
Well, hang on.
I build Lego.
Yeah, what's wrong with Lego?
In fact, there's a Tantive up there, and there's a London bus up there. Yeah. The one in the middle is an Encanto house, which obviously I didn't build, but I disagree
Maybe
with
you guys have just got more time on your hands.
No, I don't know. That's like an exercise excuse. I haven't got time to build Lego.
You did that holds
time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Sam.
The thing that holds me back is once you've built it, like Sam, you've got a storage room. What do you do with it? What do you do with these things? Yeah, or you can put. But if you built, I don't know, five more, what are you going to do with them? You got 5 more.
All of the kids' stuff is on their cupboards in their bedroom, like lining the tops, and they've got like these huge like princess palaces and other things, and like aerials, underwater cave. It's all along their wardrobes, like in their bedroom.
Like the physical act of building it, but then it's the story. I don't then play with it.
Oh no, I don't run around with that in the house going, yeah.
Sam, tell us.
A question for Shomit, actually. When you said you abandoned New Year's resolutions, I love the idea that maybe once you tried dry January.
I've said that I would. I think on the whole, by the first I've gone, this doesn't really count, and I'll start on Monday. And so effectively failed immediately.
Fair enough. Pompey?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate what Deda said earlier. I think it was definitely easier when life was simpler to come up with resolutions that you could do. It was probably easier when before you had apps, before you had phones and digital and everything else and connection. You probably lie about your resolutions easier as well. But yeah, I don't think I can't think of the only one I can think I've ever stuck to. It was after the millennium. I went to London to watch the millennium fireworks, which was supposed to be this great wondrous thing, and it turned out to just be a wet mess, and it was absolutely rubbish. And I said, that's it. I'm not ever gonna be in the UK again for New Year's. I don't care where I am, just not in the UK. And I managed it for 11 years before I broke it, and I had to break it because of flight school. But since then, two or three of them I haven't been here, and it's great. Ski resorts are great for New Year.
Kind of disappointing. Your one resolution was like bar humbug driven.
There's not much positivity there, is there?
I have actually made one this year.
Like, this whole country.
Duds.
I'm out.
I think this is kind of what Dudders was saying earlier, but not necessarily specifically in the way he was saying it, but more, one thing that New Year's resolutions do is they make you more aware of whatever you picked. So if you say, I'm going to eat more healthily, you might still have a fish and chips or whatever, or a kebab on a Friday night, but you might proactively change some other bits. So if you say, I'm going to become more like go to the gym more, or go to the gym, you'll still go to the gym more than you would have done otherwise. So that there are elements of that might tweak your awareness and therefore tweak your behavior slightly.
I don't agree. At
You
all.
don't.
Let's see if Dennis does. What do you think, Dennis?
Well, yeah, I think it's down to whether or not you then let it, I don't know, sort of let yourself build it into your systems at all. So, for example, I have seasonal, like whatever it's quarterly reminders about my resolution. So it's not just annual, it's actually quarterly. I don't edit them quarterly, but I just get pinged every 3 months. Here's your resolutions, just with the view that that's a reminder. And then for any one of those, realistically, getting reminded once a year or once every 3 months probably ain't going to do it. But hopefully it's enough of a reminder for you to go, okay, cool, thanks for the reminder system. I'll now spend 20 minutes trying to work out how I can actually put this in place to give me a chance of doing it. So, for example, and we'll come on to this when we get to the next section, but like one of my reminders has been read more books, which I've spectacularly failed at for literally years. And the prospect of me succeeding this year, probably quite dim. But one change I've made is switching from having a reminder every Monday night, 2-hour block, read books that I've ignored every Monday for 2 years. Lame. To switching it to Sunday, just chatting to someone, and he was like, why don't you move it to Sunday where you're naturally more just chilling out around the house and you've got some downtime. I'm like, that's actually a really good idea. So we will see.
So you've switched the reminder. Are you actually doing it?
I have read one book recently. So yes, it was a cookbook. So I don't know if it fully counts, but I read it. So like, that's
you
me
just read
turning
one page over and over again for about half an hour.
How does that work?
That doesn't
Whilst
count.
cooking.
Doesn't count.
I
Doesn't
read it
count.
cover to cover, so that sort of counts.
No, does
I
not
mean,
count.
I've got to, like, who the fuck reads a cookbook cover to cover?
No. Wrong. Good. Walk off.
Are
Right, Pompey.
you leaving?
Good. Pompey, you're up. Quick, before he comes back.
Just to add to what Si said about my bar humbug resolution, I've actually, for the first time in a long time, made one this year, which is to connect with you guys more. Actually, inspired by starting this podcast.
Here we are.
But of other life events that I've realised over the last few years, having neglected you guys a little bit, that this year will be the year that I actually stay in contact a little bit more. So that is my
Yes.
resolution.
That's
And I'm actually
Excellent.
doing all right
Great
with it, I
resolution.
think, so far.
Yeah, I think you're winning the
Cracking
game at the moment for saying that. Well done.
We've all lost the game. Thanks, Hunty.
Oh, well done.
Damn it.
I've been lost for ages.
Thanks,
Sam,
John.
what are your New Year's resolutions? Have you got any?
Well, first is not to lose the game. So, I mean, I think the way I've thought about this, I like reading the question and looking for little words. I think that point, yeah, when life was simpler, look, we discussed this at length. Our parents had chores. We've got logins, passwords, updates, and two-factor everything. So have we got less time? I do feel quite overwhelmed quite a few days, well, most of the time, even though I don't have a job, because I'm very good at making myself busy. But I think this idea of making resolutions, sticking to them, I feel it's harder than when I used to do it. I used to be quite good at it, I think. What I've got better at over the years is, I think the mistake I used to make was quantity rather than intent. So now they're much smaller, more specific, probably less optimistic, but I generally stick to them. And I think now we're better at doing it as a family as well. So we talk about them as a family. So, for example, last year we had a family one, which was help Jake do his 11 plus exams. So that was a family goal, like resolution. Like we have to do everything we can is centered around him doing as well as he can. And everything else, all the rest of us want to do is actually a bit irrelevant. This year ours is move house. So team goal to move house. And I tried to think, I can't remember which one you mentioned, John, the things you abandoned immediately. I've definitely got a couple. Relearning to play the piano. right? I tried it. I got a teacher who was brilliant. Nothing to do with him. I just didn't care enough to practice, and it just stopped being joyful. It just became another task, sort of pretending to be self-improvement, and I just knew that was it. That was dead. And I sort of minded to have another go at it, but only because I'm paying for the kids to have piano lessons. They're not that bothered. I'm not that bothered. But I feel like we need to find a way to make that fun and something that we all actually enjoy. Because I think in the long term, the value we'll get from that will be really high. We've not really worked out an answer for that, but we got better. I think we got better at resolutions, finding stuff to stick. So I'd say going to the gym. I started going to F45. I started in December. I had a quick look. I joined in December 2023, and I've probably gone 2-3 times a week, apart from the long break I had when I hurt my back. I've probably gone 2-3 times a week ever since then. I've gone 4 times this week, 5 times tomorrow. So I'll be there at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that's a bit dangerous. But so I'm generally a bit more tired. But I've got into that as a lifestyle habit now of going to the gym really, really regularly, which is pretty good.
I think that's the thing, right? Like, to start with, they say it's 20 times for a habit to form. So it's almost like a sigmoidal curve. To start with, it's really difficult to get a habit to stick. You're fighting uphill. I want to do this in principle, and every time I try, it's inefficient. I'm not in the mood for it. It's not me, blah, 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 blah. It sucks. And then you grind away, and then you hit this inflection point, and you just, often through working out, like I say, systems, what day it is, I've got to do it in the morning, can I do it on the way to work? Whatever it is that makes it easy, you find pathways to make it fit with your life better than just trying to shove it in. And then you do it enough times, and all of a sudden you find, this is just part of my schedule. And as you're saying, Sam, and then you're like, this is just what I do now. So one of the things I had was I would log when I had a diet day. So not specifically logging food or whatever, just like, did I diet today versus just eating random shit? I deliberately ate healthy today. Bang, that was a diet day. And I was logging that for a while, and I haven't been logging it for a while because I've just changed my behaviors enough that I just generally don't eat shit, to the point that I don't feel the need to log it anymore. So I've stopped logging it because I've sort of won. So that's kind of a success in that sense.
Amazing.
I mean, that is really good. How the hell, how do you get past that first 20 times though, or the first 66 days that Sam mentioned earlier for habit formation?
Grind, right?
I don't, it's just the grind is really hard. I'll tell you about mine. It's normally work, fitness, or money related, right? We're terrible at budgeting. Sometimes I say we're going to budget properly. Sometimes I say I'm going to go to the doctors and fix all the things that are breaking in my body. More recently, like this time last year, I was in Australia. Actually, Sam, I don't know if you could bring the image up. It's a bit stupid. But we were in Abbey on the west coast of Australia with Max and Nikki. And their mate Jazz brought around this board, and you had to sort of you had to put the letters on the board for the 25 reso of what you were going to do that year. And I was already in a brilliant habit of going to the gym, and I was doing quite well with it, courtesy of Chris Horton, master personal trainer. And I'd already done pretty well. And I felt pretty good. And ridiculously, after this, I didn't have all the letters. So that's why it says Bija 9 uns. But it means bigger guns. Ridiculously, I went massively off a cliff after that. And I didn't, even though this resolution was there, I didn't really do it. I actually got much more into cycling, and I was much better at cardio that year, for the past 12 months. But I really sort of fell apart on the gym. And I think that was because I didn't have a goal to get to. And the goal in that case was getting to Australia and not being too fat. Because obviously in Australia, you walk around with fewer clothes on. Whereas here you can hide under a jumper, can't you? So yeah, that one was rubbish. Turned out to be complete nonsense. Although probably my New Year's resolution, if there's anything, is get bigger guns again.
Get bigger.
John, but I wonder if I'll succeed. Probably not.
I'm sure you'll succeed. I tell you what, the Australia thing's interesting. Only with coincidental story. Well, similar story. When Lindsay and I went to stay at Joe Ladd's house in Laguna Beach, there was a brilliant moment where, on my birthday, more depressingly my birthday, we were sat on a towel, Lindsay and I, and obviously Lindsay is particularly at that point, was in much better shape than I was. I was definitely not in great shape. Kids were out surfing, And I remember turning to her and I said, please don't take this the wrong way. I said, but I am the fattest man on this beach by some margin. And I said, and for the first time ever, you might be the fattest woman. So I was.
Oh, what? No.
I mean, that
Why
is
did no one tell you not to say that?
Because genuinely, I've never seen so many people in shape in a viewpoint. I was like, you've just got to take this one, right? Look around us. We've come here as two chubby English people. And like, you're not even chubby. You're not even remotely chubby, but somehow you are probably the biggest person on this beach. It's insane how healthy everyone is here. And like, admittedly, oh no, it's great, mate.
I still wouldn't have said that to my wife.
You've made a huge mistake. You've made a huge mistake.
And I drained my beer.
Having fat sex that night and no sex that night.
Hey, look, I got another little story that I heard the other day. I heard Stephen Bartlett talking to Chris Williamson on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and they were Stephen Bartlett was talking about a resolution once which said go to the gym every day, and makes sense, right? What a brilliant resolution! If you could do that for the whole year, it'd be phenomenal. But obviously, as soon as you miss one day, it's over. You're done. You might as well not bother. So
if you have a mindset.
Yeah, well, correct. I mean, for me, it wouldn't matter anyway, because I'd just immediately forget it the following day. But what he was saying then was, if you're going to set a resolution, make sure that you are allowed to fail within it. So what he was saying is, if you don't go to the gym, you have to go the following day. Which I was like, oh, that actually makes a load of sense, right? It builds in a level of failure and allows you to get back on the horse. But then what if you fail
going
twice?
every day anyway? You're going every day anyway. What do you do? Do you go twice the next day then?
Well, maybe that would be better, wouldn't it? Just cumulatively build until if you haven't been for a week, you've just got to spend the whole day there.
You've got to go a whole day.
You're not supposed to go to the gym every day. Your body's not built for it.
Well, my body's not built for it, but I would hazard a guess that Chris Williamson and Stephen Bartlett could probably go to the gym every day and do all right out of it.
I'm not a personal trainer. Let's get Chris Horton on here and ask him. But you need rest weeks, and also you need time for recovery. You can't go to the gym every day.
That's what Hortz is telling you, but he wouldn't say that to Arnie, I would hazard a guess.
No.
Or maybe he'd say it to Arnie now. What I mean is Arnie 50 years ago.
He doesn't say it to me, Shomit, anymore. He's like, you go for it, lad.
I don't train with Chris Horton. Although the one thing I was going to say earlier is just based around kind of habit building and going to the gym. So I started going to the gym in lockdown, but outside of like New Year's resolutions, just because I needed to get fitter, because I was sat around drinking my body weight in alcohol and vaping a lot. And that is when I started using Chris Horton for about a year. And that made a massive, massive difference, because I trained with him online, ran in a training program that he'd set out. I changed how I ate, and all of that had nothing to do with the New Year's resolution. And now, similar to you, Sam, I do F45 instead. But that's because Chris went back to training at his gym and wasn't doing what he's doing now for you guys. So I went to F45 and I do that now. But I go 4 to 5 times a week. And yeah, the other thing that annoys me is when people say they don't have time, and it's like you could make time. If you really tried, you could find 45 minutes to an hour in a day to do some exercise.
Yeah.
And just one more thing on the target stuff. So Ellie is a runner. So my wife's a runner. If she has a target, like she did the London Marathon last year, if she has a half marathon, she'll be running all the time, and she's fast and she's good. But if she doesn't have a target, she'll go running maybe like once a week. And it's just having a target of something to do.
Everybody needs an Australian holiday on the horizon. That's what we're saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that goes for everything, like financial, health, body shape, all of it.
Pompey.
Pompey.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think my 2 points I was going to raise have sort of been answered, but what you were saying earlier, Sam, about you being 4 times this week, 5 times, I was going to say it's a time thing. I get your point, Shomit. Yes, you can make an hour, but an hour in maybe a week. But I would find it quite difficult making an hour 5 times a week to go to the gym that much.
Yeah.
So I
think your circumstances are different, though. I think with your job, I think.
But Charlotte's right. I could once a week. I could scrape out an hour. I mean, it's not just an hour though, because it's at least sort of 2 by the time you, from where I am, get to the gym. You've got probably 20 minutes to get there, then an hour in the gym, then getting changed and stuff.
Pompey,
so it's a couple of hours.
tell me if I'm wrong, but couldn't you just take a rack of dumbbells and bring them up into the cockpit with you?
I could do, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure my airline would have something to say about the extra weight and fuel burn that would be associated with carrying around dumbbells every time I fly around. But yeah,
you're the captain, man. It's your plane. You can take dumbbells. Just if just lose one fat American, just get rid of them.
Wear a weighted vest.
You're off. But the other point I was going to make, Joe, is about what you then said, John, about the about your Australia trip. It's difficult to get into a habit, but it's very, very easy to break a habit. If you're out of it for 3 or 4 weeks, if you go to Australia, then you're essentially starting again with your whatever size said the 60 days or whatever. You've got to get back into it, and you've got to force yourself to essentially get back into that habit again. Otherwise, it's done. It's over.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think that's doable. You know, I was away over 23rd to the 5th. Didn't go anywhere near a gym. All I did was eat and drink and eat more mince pies, and yeah, we got straight back into it. I think the thing that's coming across to me here is the real change sort of sneaks in, doesn't it? It's the stuff that works. You know, I think you said it earlier, Shomit. It doesn't announce itself on the 1st that this is now going to work. It doesn't make some grand speech. You just suddenly, it's kind of happened, and you've managed to stick at it. I think, Dennis, you were talking about reading in particular.
Yeah.
I think one thing we've found that's worked quite well just in this house is this idea. Whenever we have phones in our bedroom, we do actually have them in there charging, but they're not next to the bed. And so we go up to read, and the kids have to go up to read as well. And so just going that 30 minutes before you go to bed has made it really easy. And actually, I would say our reading level, generally, all 4 of us, appears to wane depending on how good the book is. So if somebody's not got a very good book, you're not that bothered. Well, we got better at telling the kids, if you're not enjoying a book, just that one you can just give up on. Here's a better one. You know, go and try that. But I've already read 2 books this year, so I'm already like stoked. So I've done better this year already. But I was getting better towards the end of the year, but particularly because picking better books, I think, as well, and just having half an hour at the end of the day to read rather than look at a screen or have that, you know, additional. I don't know anything about the blue light thing. Maybe someone else knows about that, but I don't. But I think combination of going to the gym and being more tired in the evening and then reading I just go to bed earlier now.
I'm sure that helps a lot. And those 2 principles, I would say, hold for all of this stuff in terms of if you want to achieve something. We talked about like SMART targets, we haven't talked about shared accountability partners. That helps me a lot. But reducing the resistance to the thing, I think, is key. So if you're like, I've got this big block, I want to achieve this, get healthier, read books, whatever it is. You'll be prescribed a way of doing it. Go to the gym for an hour every day. And as you're saying, Pompey, that might not work for you. But if your overarching thing is this, if you noodle on it for a while, you might find a way that you can do this that fits in your schedule, and you reduce the resistance enough that you find it doable without the resistance getting in the way. So for me, the gym, like we remember it as a gym here, I knew that was never going to work. There's too much resistance. So I've got home gym downstairs. It's bang average. We bought a bench and bar off eBay, a bunch of hand weights. Meg got like a pull-up bar-y thing free off work. And that's fine. And you can do everything. And so I've been doing I've worked out almost every day this year. I know that's illegal, Shomit, but I've been doing it regardless. But the lack of resistance is great. And similarly for the books thing, that was as Sam's saying, I've struggled with the books thing, but you've got this concept of like, right, phones away, go upstairs, reading as a family thing. Those kind of routines, working out a way to sort of hack it into your habit, I feel like it is a big thing. For me, there's a minimum effective dose thing. There's a wonderful thing about the 1 minute rule or the rule of 1, where like if you're trying to do a habit, commit to doing it for 1 minute a day. The example was you're going to learn guitar. You can't tell yourself you can't practice for 1 minute. If you're in the middle of a ton of shit, you're like, right, even if I'm on a fucking phone call, right, 1 minute, guitar's away, back to work. Fine, you did your minute. Realistically, most days, you pick up the guitar, you play for a minute, you play for 5 minutes, you're into it, you play for 10, 15, 30, whatever. You do good practice. And so the rule of one is similar. You're saying that often enough, you'll overprescribe when you're trying to plan. So you're like, all right, lads, the 5 of us, we're going to do a weekly session of whatever, this or whatever it might be. Every single Tuesday, we're going to blah, blah, balls to that. Let's do one and see if we can just plan one. If we're doing one, let's see if we can get another one on the books. 2 and 3 and 5, suddenly it becomes a habit, but just get one on the books and see how that goes and then tweak it from there. I feel like there's ways to forcibly tweak and hack to make things work for you, but you really got to think about how to tweak it to get it into your system, because often you're just prescribed an off-the-rack solution that you're like, that ain't going to work. Whereas for you, Ponce, if you can smash out like a 15, 20-minute bodyweight exercise in a hotel or at home, you can probably be doing enough to keep yourself in good shape. And then every so often, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, you go to the gym and fucking smash it. Real heavy weights, really go hard. But otherwise, you're just doing bodyweight stuff, which is good enough, right?
Yeah.
Well, look, talking about that, you've kind of hit upon the next point, which is once you get started, how do you carry on? And there's always an app for that, isn't there? Right. So let's do the next question. Have apps replaced willpower? Want to exercise? There's an app. Want to stop drinking? App. Want to sleep better? Want to breathe properly? Remember to drink water? Stand up? Want to remember to feel joy? There's an app for that. At some point, we outsourced self-control to these infernal machines. The stats say that these apps actually do work. 79% of people say habit apps make them feel more accountable. So initially they're brilliant and they nudge you and remind you to carry on, and they guilt trip you into action. But then the wheels come off, don't they? Roughly 72% of people abandon habit or self-improvement apps within 90 days. And for streak-based apps, it's even harsher. 40% of users quit after missing just 1 day, to my earlier point. One slip, apps deleted, pizza is ordered, pretend it never happened. And it's no coincidence this all peaks in January. Obviously, it's the biggest download month for the habit apps and wellness apps, when motivation is its highest and optimism hasn't been punched in the face by reality. So that raises the real question, are these tools actually helping us change, or have apps replaced willpower and quietly killed it? Sam.
Exciting.
I'm not convinced that willpower is the thing that made habits work. I think it's echoing my other point. I think it's always my environment. I think if you add an app to sit on top of a bad environment instead of changing the environment, you're fucked, aren't you? So I think particularly if you think you link it to January isn't really about change. Of an app, it's about downloading proof that you intend to change rather than actually necessarily doing anything about it. So an app can remind you to exercise, but to your point, Pompey, it can't make your day less chaotic. They can try and nag you into doing things your environment might actively resist. So, as long as that app's there, fine, you're disciplined. But if you remove it and everything collapses, was it a habit? So don't get me wrong. I actually went through, had a look at some of those apps that one of the things you said was go and have a look at some of the apps on your phone. I was quite shocked at how many I had, to the point where I actually gave up looking. They were all over the place. And but I think certain things now, if I remove it, would it collapse? Certain categories, maybe. Others I'm not so sure.
Which categories would you think would fall apart?
So let me I tell you what, I can pop up a little image.
Let's go to the slide deck.
To the slides. Are you ready?
A 5-hour presentation on this.
5-hour presentation. Hold, please. Who's seen this before?
Yeah.
You've told us about this. This is Truthbrush, isn't it? Or something like that?
The
Oh,
truth
Hunty,
brush.
well done.
Yeah.
Good knowledge. The truth brush. So that little, so one thing I made a note was to describe things for the people at home. Okay. So we're showing a picture of an app called Toothbrush. And on the tooth, there's a little picture of a toothbrush. And on that is a little circular thing. And it's a tracker. So you can move it between toothbrushes. Okay. We have them for all of our family. So we've all got one. And we all get alerts on how well we're brushing. Okay. So brushing our teeth. And if for the people at home who are listening, there's a picture and it shows your mouth, shows you where you've brushed well, shows you how long you've brushed for, shows the intensity of your brushing. So we found it to be absolutely brilliant to be competitive about brushing. Okay. However, when our Wi-Fi network broke and I had to then reinstall it, we did forget about it for over a year, we worked out. And it was only reasonably recently when we realized that no one was looking at it and no one was recording it, that that was the only device I'd not reconnected to the revised Wi-Fi network when I powered it all back up again.
There you go.
So
Were you
Back to my
secretly
previous
quite
point.
pleased to get rid of it?
I think we just all forgot about it. I don't think we were pleased in the slightest. I just think suddenly we weren't getting alerts about it. It fell into another thing I needed to do on the digital admin side, and that was kind of it, I think. And so so
that's the point about it's the Australian holiday of toothbrushes.
Yeah.
The Australian holiday of
Holiday of
toothbrushes. You heard it here first, folks.
Duts, have you got any apps installed on your phone that help you with these things?
No, none at all. It turns out I had a look. So even up to Apple. So I had an Apple Watch where I had a huge amount of information about my fitness, about my sleep, about blah blah blah. I broke it over a year ago when I fell down some stairs. I was completely sober, and I've not replaced my Apple Watch since, and I don't have any of that information. And I think the problem is that everyone is getting into this kind of, we need loads of information. So the things you put in your arm, your Apple Watch is giving you so much data, but no one's actually doing anything with that data. I mean, a small percentage of people are. And I think it's whether, if you have the willpower or the want to do it in the first place, then you'll take on board that information and you use that to kind of make you better in your eyes. Whether it makes you better is, existential. But the problem is that a lot of people are looking for this magic bullet. In everything we do, everyone's looking for the magic bullet, right? So how do I lose weight without actually doing anything? Can I eat and drink as much as I want and also lose weight? So Ozempic's a great example of that, although you can't eat or drink anything. But yeah, so by downloading these apps, I think people want to find something that makes it really easy for them to hit the goal of whatever they're trying to do. But actually, you need to be able to do it yourself in the first place, which is why so many get deleted so quickly, because unless you're willing to actually put in the effort, you can't do it.
Yeah,
that's my rant.
It's 100%. That's my experience as well. These apps are generally junk, and even if they do help you for a month or so, then you quickly forget about them. Don't you? Deaders, have you got any apps that help you do these things? I reckon Deaders has got 500 apps, all talking to each other through some kind of weird Claude code.
Yes, I do. I fundamentally disagree with you, boys. I think that
bring up the apps.
I bring them up. Well, let's get to it. But I think that apps have met us in the middle. You still need willpower. But so, for example, it's obviously laudable if someone changes their behavior fully off their own back. They're like, I'm not going to tell anyone about, like, this has never happened, obviously, in the history of humanity, but where someone is like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm not going to tell anyone about it. I'm just going to do it through willpower and then not put it on Facebook that I've lost a load of weight. Friend, kudos, good for you. No one's doing that, right? But like, if something like Ozempic, as Dance is saying, right? So Ozempic makes it a lot easier for you to lose weight. The willpower barrier drops. It's still willpower required, but it's much less. So why is that a bad thing if it means you get better health in the end? And the same thing with apps. As we talked about, there's loads of different elements of this whole puzzle, right? In terms of structuring, reminders, prompting, competition. Sam was saying competition, helping with friends, accountability partners, all this shit. Apps can organize the shit for you and help you do it in a way that just makes it more likely that you're going to succeed. And if at the end of the day the goal is that you're more healthy, have a better life, are happier, whatever, then why the F do you care if you got a bit of a boost from apps, given that we're probably in agreement that apps and technology in general are often a source of kind of pollution to our lives. If they can be an assist, then hooray. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind going to the slide deck, I'll give you number 5, please, slide deck master. So I have a number of apps. I've got this habits tracker, which we're going to see here, as well as VO2 max thing, a workout thing for my weights logging, and Google Calendar for everything else. So this is these are just widgets that are attached or part of my habits tracker in super low res. But so the aim of this is like the second screen on my phone, is that I can just flick this on in the morning. Cheers, governor. And go, right, reminded, and I get in a stack. So this is my morning stack. I'll be like, right, I'll weighing myself, and I'll come on to the correlations later. Weighing myself, firstly, just going to this screen and doing anything makes it more likely I'm going to do other things. So if I weigh myself, it's likely that I'll also remember to floss just because I ticked something off. This is like the Candy Crush of habits, right? I ticked off weights. Hooray for me. Whatever time of the morning, I'm already on the scoreboard. Bam, floss, easy win. And per your toothbrush thing, Sam, I can fall out of flossing for months on end. But because every time I weigh myself or every time I come on the screen, I see it, I get a little reminder. Moisturizing. I, like most British men, moisturizer was something we heard women talk about, much like you hear about the suspension on the moon lander. It's something that exists. It's not relevant to me. Cheerio, goodbye. Go on, Sam.
Why did you put moist? Just put moisturize. Moist?
I thought it was something completely different.
So did I. Put moisture. Right.
This isn't for you, lads. And B, it has a really annoyingly abbreviating thing that shrinks it down to 3 characters and then 4 dots. So you actually get fewer letters if you have it too long than if you abbreviated it a little bit. So hence moist and other keywords that are shorter than they need to be. Like sugar is like, go on.
Can I be the first to say, fucking hell?
I just need to cut in really quickly because everyone's concentrated on moist. There is also sex on here, and it says jobs and love on the left-hand side. Do you plan when you have sex and it is twice monthly?
Do I plan when I have sex? No. So sex, help, and 5v1. You can probably guess what 5v1 is.
No, I can't.
Game of 5.
Oh, sorry, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Sorry, yeah, I'm there.
Okay. You can be the first. Well done. And help is a handy. So these are the three levels of love. This is just logging. Like some of this stuff is I've got it on here to remind myself to do it, and others of it are just like, this may or may not happen, and I'm recording it for interest purposes for myself to get a sense of how frequent it is. They're not always the same thing. Like Trello and gardening is like when I'm gardening, I'm just sort of interesting. So I can see seasonal patterns in things, gardening, housework, seeing friends, whatever, that aren't necessarily trying to do things more often habits. So this
what is Trello, mate? What's Trello mean?
Trello is a project management system, but it's just my sort of shortcut for, am I doing like big house projects versus like emptying the dishwasher? Am I doing something like fixing the wiring or whatever, just to get a sense of how often I'm doing that? So this is my logging, like and sort of, we talked about this earlier in terms of minimizing resistance. I wanted an app that had widgets like this, so I could just very quickly log stuff to reduce the resistance. And then once you do this for enough time, and if you are a data scientist and record this plus your weight through your fitness scales, plus your workout training, plus other things, next slide, please, you can get a sense of annual and multi-year habits. So colors relate to seasons, just to get a sense of seasonal patterns. Top left, we can see that. So this is like tracking, gives you reminders and nudges, increases mindfulness, and leads to progress. So for example, my weight top left has stayed about the same, but top right, my fat percentage is dropping a bit, so I'm getting a bit more hench. Bottom left, my boozing, I've been trying to drink less, notwithstanding this awful concoction. I seem to have a habit of drinking terrible drinks when I'm with you boys. Boozing has gone down a chunk, so that's good. And cardio has gone up a bit, sort of. Next slide, please.
Can we see the 5v1 graph, please?
I didn't include all graphs, but because I was in a bit of a rush to get these done. So top left boozing has gone down, as you see, and bottom left, in place of it, weed use has risen. This is deliberate. I was like, I want to replace drinking with weed. I'm not going to have no vices. And so, like, I should have done a trend line, but yeah, boozing has gone down, weed has gone up. That makes sense. Cardio was spiky, top right, and those really big spikes are pretty much our lads' skiing trips. Next slide.
From boarding, got it.
Yeah. And then talking about reminders and stuff. So flossing, we're talking about toothbrush and whatever. I've got that reminder to floss. As you can see, sometimes there are like 2 months gaps when I don't floss literally at all, or I floss once a month or some shit like that. Other months I'll do it almost every day. It's a real crapshoot. I'm trying, but this is sort of feeds into the whole, if you, like Hunty was saying, if you forget one day, game over. But if you've got something that's reminding you regularly, as long as you don't like castigate yourself for failing, just every day you can give yourself another go. Persistent resolutions happen eventually. So like music, I've been wanting to make music. That's been on my resolutions thing since 2017. And I've been building up to that in terms of like the background elements. So like we were talking with Pompey about getting resistance out of the way. So if you've got hand weights or whatever convenient, you're more likely to do it. If you've got a home gym, you're more likely to do it, whatever. I've been working on the music thing, and I finally got myself bits and pieces, including DJ kit arrived the other day. So I'm hopeful that this year I'll finally start to make music, or it could completely fall off and get dropped. Like I had the breathe thing, top right. I read this thing about how like breath strength training was really good for general cardiovascular health. I bought
cool. Just checking, because I was concerned that you'd only been breathing once.
I had a really, really deep breath in April 2022, and it's riding me out from now. I got this breath strength trainer. I used it a bunch, and then I haven't used it since. So it doesn't always work. And then talking about the books thing, we talked about it earlier, bottom right. Like I have had this reminder to read books. Hasn't really worked, except that right-hand side one is me getting back into it a little bit, and hopefully this is the beginning of the renewal of that working out. So correlation plots, semi-interesting take-homes from like having those clickers in the morning generally helps. So more booze equals more weight. That's not. So this is like monthly. That's not surprising. If I'm on holiday, I get fatter, I don't weigh myself, and I drink more booze. That's not surprising. If I'm boozing, I put on more weight, I do less cardio. But also I have more diet days, which is surprising. So that might be like, because it's monthly, if I have a boozing day, I'm more likely to try and diet in subsequent days. Who knows? If I weigh myself, I'm more likely to have a diet day. I'm more likely to have a cardio day. So this is where you get stacking effects of this stuff. If you see all these metrics in one place, it can just remind you, be a good boy. I've done this. Let's keep the cascade going. Next slide, please. And this is on a daily thing for the specific daily thingies. Like if I floss, I'm more likely to weigh myself. If I'm more likely to weigh myself, I'm more likely to floss, because they're next to each other in the morning thing. So that makes sense. You weigh yourself, you floss, you moisturize, etc. The meat thing and the cardio thing really speaks to lads' snowboarding holidays. So, for example, I'm more likely to do cardio. Cardio and meat eating are really highly correlated, because that is just all about lads' holidays. I do a ton of cardio, and eat a load of meat and drink a load of booze, but they all come together. So Sean, you were saying.
This is the most mental thing I've ever seen in my life.
Mental. This is absolutely mental. Like the one thing, like if you didn't do all of this, all of these graphs, all of this stuff, it feels like you would do what you said you did regardless. So when you're saying, right, okay, well, I noticed that I put on weight when I went on a lad's holiday, like we all fucking know we do that, and we all try and lose weight afterwards.
And
like,
cardio.
And it depends how your mind works completely. Like if this helps and supports you to get to the goals you want, great. But
to be clear, this level of like data to patterns to insights, the patterns to insights bit is interesting, but I've only finished cranking that out in a rush to get it for this chat. Like I've had it on my to-do list for ages. But no, mostly literally just as the principle of taking photos of your food, right? Like what you're eating makes you be mindful of what you've eaten. Same kind of thing. Just logging itself helps you to remind yourself I'm doing the right thing or whatever. And so the higher level stuff of data to patterns to insights, the insight stuff, I haven't done anything with it at all. I produced these literally this morning. I haven't done any deep thinking on it. I want to go really deep into this stuff. I think there's going to be more stuff to do in terms of lagging stuff, as in if I booze today, am I going to be like eating like shit tomorrow? Probably, for example, right? Those are pretty obvious. Go on, Sam.
Well, I was going to say, no, Pompey, you've
oh, sorry,
you look like you've been bursting to say something.
Oh, I haven't been bursting, so I'll just be waiting patiently for Si to finish showing us his slide deck. I can say one thing: I would have given up after logging all of those things after about a day. I would have definitely been in that 25% of stopping doing that after, and I would not have gone back to make charts and everything else to look at the correlation. But in terms of
I'm
the apps,
100% with you, Pomps. I might set that up on the sofa one day, and then I would immediately forget it.
Yeah.
But kudos to you, Dennis, for doing all that. That is amazing that you've got the tenacity to do that. I mean, I was sort of taking the piss earlier on, but actually it's really impressive, and it obviously helps. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's been building, but it only works. It's only been building because each individual principle stands on its own. Logging when I do weighing myself. If I just had one whole screen reminder, binary, did I weigh myself today? That would encourage me to weigh myself every day. Weighing myself every day reminds me, right, this is where my weight is. It's going up. Stop eating chocolate for breakfast or whatever, right? Like that nudges you to do the right thing. Then you add the next one. I want to floss myself. Here's floss. And they all will just work on their own. All this higher level shit I've basically done for this chat. I'm interested to dive into it, but like they all stand on their own.
Look, man, it's absolutely awesome. If you don't mind, Dennis, I'm going to segue from anecdote into something similar to what you've been talking about. So one of my favorite anecdotes about Simon was a friend of mine here recently was diagnosed with ADHD. And I said, you should talk to my friend Simon, who has also got ADHD and has known about ADHD for a long time. And Simon had a brilliant chat with her, really, really useful. And her summary of the call was that I don't think I actually have ADHD.
That guy has, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't think I do. Which is going to neatly segue into... And Dennis, I'm with you, right? I love what the stuff you've been doing. You and I have talked about it loads, right?
There we go.
Yeah. Right, this is kind of the simplified version of this, which is an app. I think it's called Days Since. I've had it on my phone. And this whole conversation made me find it and go, shit, I really liked that. Okay. So it's just an app. You pick 3 or 4 things, right? 6 here. And all you do is you just click if you've done it, right?
Yeah.
That's it. But what Dennis has done is to take all that data and stuck it into awesome spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Simplification of things.
Yeah.
If you're going to use apps, if you're going to have these things, I think you need simplification of it, because if it gets too complicated, the more complicated it is, the more chance there is of you not carrying on and doing it. You need something very, very simple that you can just open it and click.
Yeah.
I was reading. I actually I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. But a statistic about app usage and people and how many apps people install over the last 10 years is actually going down. The number of people, number of apps that people have and use on a day-to-day basis. I think the number was something like 21 or 25 about 10 years ago, and today it's something like 16. And the number of apps that people. No, on a regular basis, on a sort of daily basis or a weekly basis. But so within a year, people use these apps, but people have other apps.
Right.
Like actually, I did when I was having a look earlier on. I went through my phone. I deleted 15 apps earlier on because I just haven't used them, and I know I haven't used them for probably 2 or 3 years. But they're on my phone, taking up space. But I think there's an app for. We've talked about it in a previous podcast, but there's an app for everything. There's an app for absolutely everything. And somebody actually commented to me a couple of days ago, like sort of looked at my phone and it was like, "You've got an app for everything, haven't you?" And I have but I don't use them.
Because why not?
That's the
Because
thing.
they're free, right?
Because they're free and you download, but you use it once. You download it, you log into your account and you do something and you use it once, and then it goes there and it doesn't get used again. And maybe in 2 or 3 years, if I click on something and it opens that app, I'm like, oh, that's handy. I've got that app, but I don't use it.
Yeah.
Similarly, I've got 2 or 3 fitness apps. I haven't used them. One of them helped me about 2 or 3 years ago when I had a subscription to it. As soon as my subscription ended, didn't get used anymore, but it's still there. It's still taking up space on the phone.
I actually think that the subscription bit is really important. So if you look at this slide that's on the screen at the moment, this is probably the most successful app I've ever had on my phone to help me stick with a fitness goal. I think it sort of aligned with a New Year's resolution, because Ali bought me one of these Whoop straps for Christmas.
Yeah.
For the princely sum of £8. So I was like, that is amazing. What value, right? She gave me that at the cost of £8 to her. And then I had to have a £300 a year subscription to use it.
What a present.
Strong work.
But once you've got skin in the game like that, you're actually going to use it. And because that had all the fancy tech that, well, Apple Watches do now, I suppose, although it's sort of slightly better than that in terms of all the different metrics it can give you, it's really motivational. It sends you exactly the right notifications every day. It already knows how you're feeling. It gives you this sort of percent strain and percent recovery every day. So when I'm on a ski trip with you guys, I ended up in the 1% club, and the phone app just was a picture of a skull. And it said,
I remember that. It told you were dead.
Right. You're in the 1% club, yeah. But on a normal day, so I'd wake up and it would have tracked all my sleep without running out of battery, and it would have, it would have done all these sort of metrics over the course of the day as well. That says, right, today you should work out really hard because you've rested, or you should take it easy a little bit today. And actually, that was really good. It was a bit like a personal trainer. It was much more than just an app, and I really liked that. Similarly, I had another one which I paid a lot of money for inadvertently. I downloaded an intermittent fasting app once. I was quite interested in doing that, and actually, it did work, and I lost a bunch of weight from intermittent fasting. But the app cost me like, I don't know, £3 for the first month, and the second month rolled around and it cost me £50. And somehow these bastards had managed to circumvent the Apple subscriptions thing, so I couldn't just go in and turn it off. I had to write to them, and I eventually just ended up cancelling that transaction with the bank because I couldn't get hold of them. Then I went on Trustpilot, and obviously everybody's like, "Oh, this is a hell of a scam," but it might have been a scam, and they got loads of my money, but it did work for a bit. But yeah, I would much rather pay money for a real service like Whoop, which I really recommend, but I do not have it now. So maybe that says more than the recommendation. Duts, ever used Whoop?
No, it's kind of, it's a cross section of what you've just said and what Dedders was saying earlier. Like, I think basically you find what works for you, right? So Dedders' system works for him. I did say it was fucking mental, but that's for me, but not for him, and it works for him, which is great. And also, like, so to your point about Whoop, so Ellie has Runner, which incidentally, somehow she's managed to put onto my Apple account, so I pay for it. No idea how she's managed to do that, but I pay for her runner.
It
But
wasn't a
again,
mistake, was it? It wasn't a mistake.
No, it was 100% not a mistake. I pay for a lot of things by accident. But apparently it's great. Like, I don't use it, but when she's been doing all of her so again, when she was doing her London Marathon training, it popped up. She put in the time she wanted to get, which was, I can't remember the times and I'll get it completely wrong, but they then text her saying, you shouldn't be aiming for that, you should be aiming for 10 minutes under that, based upon all the information we have. And then they'd send her things about, you know, the run she'd done and be like, right, okay, the next run you need to go slightly faster paced for a shorter distance. Like, it was just really well done. So all of it felt like she was getting, like you said, like personal training that was directing her to what she wanted to do. In the end, she got the time that they'd said, which was 10 minutes under what she'd originally thought she was going to do.
But that's it.
Right.
If you got skin in the game, if there's something which is personal to you,
Yeah.
and not just some generic thing. Somebody said it early on, but if that makes you feel more invested, I think then, for Ellie in this case, feel more invested into whatever it is.
Accountability.
Yeah,
very much so. So, and I think you're right. I think you're right, Dutson. I think you talk about Whoop, right? I've been a big Withings fan for a long time. I think their scales are absolutely amazing. So I've got a very depressing long track record of stepping on them and being incredibly fat and consistently being incredibly fat. So it's been very gratifying to watch that go down, and it's very good at little encouragement. I've got a lovely screen that tells me I'm a legend every morning, which really does cheer me up. Because no one else is calling me a legend. I think we didn't talk maybe about bad. I think to finish before we move on to the next section, we didn't talk about really bad trackers. My absolute favorite was I had a little worry that I might have prostate cancer, and they gave me an app to track my bowel movements called Bowel. And I'm not going to lie, that did not stick. It did not stick.
There's an app for everything.
There's an app for everything. To give them credit, it's a good app. It's not an issue with the app, but it was more the idea of having to record movements did not sit that well with me, and I did not use that app to its full potential.
So much you've said has puns all over it.
Yeah, we need to find a better name for that app as well.
I thought the name was excellent, to give the credit. And even when I had to, the doctor told me about it, and even when I went for the appointment, we were both laughing about the number of puns that were coming out from every bit of the conversation we were having about it. But I think that's probably a good point to.
Well, just before we move on, Sam, I did want to add one little thing to what Hunty was saying, along the lines of, like, fair play, boys, about my system is completely mental for sure. And as Pompey and Hunty were saying, what seems to be happening in this space in terms of technology is things are coalescing, and that's going to just make it so much simpler for people. Like, my mental system is somewhat a function of the lack of this connectivity existing in the first place. Like, I have to export my weight app, and I have to export my Google Fit scales and my fitness scale. I've got an Aura ring, so I'm going to have to boil that in somehow anyway. But there's certainly Google Health Connect on Android is a shared connectivity thing that they all feed into that hopefully will sort this out. I'm sure Apple has its own ecosystem that does the same thing. The hope will be, I suspect we're only a few years away where the need for me to do any of this shit is gone completely, and our wearable health devices and scales and all this shit will all talk to each other in the same ecosystem and just deliver insights automatically, like Hunty's thing did. Like, I was driven to get a fitness ring. I've just got the Aura ring a few days ago. I've been looking to get one for ages because I was hoping that one would do glucose tracking, which isn't coming for a while. On my birthday last year, so November last year, went out with some mates, had a bunch of drinks, massive Indian meal, leapt up from the table. We all did, ran a couple of blocks to the gig to get in earlier, smashed down a bottle of water because I wasn't allowed to bring it inside. Just inside as the guy starts playing, it was really interesting, good tunes. I'm turning around to talk to my mate. I realize my legs are wobbling, but I'm like, well, don't cause a scene. Just kind of balance yourself out so you don't fall over, and then ended up fainting in the at the gig. I wake up, it's like I've been asleep for an hour. You know, I was lying down for a couple of seconds, apparently. Complete like reboot, felt like I'd been so relaxed. Full reboot. Reach out to the hands that are leaning down to pick me up. On my feet. Sorry for causing a scene, lads. Just straight back at it. Sorry, boys. Carry on. Off. Let's carry on with the gig. Sorry to have bothered you, lad. Straight back down to the ground, because I haven't let myself reboot my brain with any oxygen at all. I've just leapt straight back up. Fainted 3 times in a row because I'm just trying to hard restart every time. But it occurred to me that if I had any kind of tracking, so I'm an idiot, obviously, but also you kind of feel like, in retrospect, maybe someone could have said, hey, if your body wants to faint, maybe you lie down instead of leaping back to your feet every time you faint. Here we are. But yeah,
at least the second time.
Auntie, like if I feel like if I'd had some kind of a fitness tracker, it would have said, you're in the fucking red zone. Do not stand up and dance at a gig right now. Sit down for just 10 minutes or whatever. So I feel like all this is coming, all that to say.
Well, you would have been in the 1% club.
Is that not kind of standard
Absolutely.
fainting, information?
Yeah, definitely. Just didn't think about it, mate.
Tell you what, we could go on here forever, so we're gonna call time on it on the
Can I
intros.
just
No, we can't.
This is
Sam, this is the goods.
This is
all the goods.
absolutely great. This is absolutely great.
It better be. Hold one sec. It better be brilliant.
Okay,
Off
so
you
whilst I was doing app research, it turns out the most downloaded app in January is an app called Are You Dead?
In China. Yes.
Yeah, but like it's had 10 million downloads in not only China but the US and the UK. And basically it's an app with a big green button that you press once a day so your friends and family know you're still alive.
Wow.
I mean, it's a good way to get app engagement.
It's crazy.
Until it's not.
Yeah, what happens when you delete that? Do you get a load of phone calls?
Well, if you don't press the button, all your emergency contacts are pinged that you might be dead.
I suppose thinking about it from my point of view, that sounds like the shittest app I've ever heard of. But like, if there's an old person living on their own,
that's
maybe
great.
there's
Well, apparently
logic.
a large majority of people who are downloading it are young people living on their own in cities.
Wow.
Yeah. I've got a version of that.
Bleak, isn't it?
For the DOS. Yeah.
No, we don't have time for this.
We've got time. We've got time for my questions, my comments. One day I'll tell you about the dossier. Next section. So we're back, refreshed, and we're ready for the next section. So next question we're going to ask is, what motoring events are you looking forward to this year and why? Cars are getting quieter, heavier, and more digital every year. They're faster than ever, but somehow feel further away. But at the same time, motoring events are booming. People who don't even own interesting cars are traveling miles just to hear them, smell them, and stand next to them. Major motoring events have seen 20 to 30% growth in attendance over the past decade. The Goodwood Festival of Speed is now attracting over 200,000 attendees annually. And under 35s are less likely to own enthusiast cars, but more likely to attend car events. So for a lot of us, the best car memories now aren't about lap times or horsepower, they're about moments. So tonight we want to ask, is the real joy of motoring no longer in ownership, but in experiencing cars together in noisy, nostalgic places? And we're going to start with John.
Oh, good. I thought about this one a lot, but I actually have been to loads of different car events in my time, to the point where I'm sort of a bit bored of all of them. I know it's probably not very correct to say I'm bored of the Festival of Speed or the Revival, but I've been going with Ali's dad, and we have a great time every year. But it is fundamentally the same every year, isn't it? Festival of Speed. Maybe there's some different manufacturers bringing out some different cars, and there's some different stuff going up the hill. Like last year, that TWR Supercat went up the hill, which was just wild to watch. And there's maybe a new Ford Super Van going up, and there's the McMurtry the year before, which were amazing in their own right. But I feel like I've stood on a picnic bench and watched all that probably too many times, and actually sort of I'm looking for the sort of slightly weirder events, like probably maybe going to Caffeine and Machine with you guys, or maybe doing a drive up to Anglesey with AD, or I don't know, just those sorts of things. We did talk about doing a road trip for the Last of the Line as well. So maybe that would materialize. But there is one I'm really, really looking forward to, and I've only been to this once before in my life. When I was a kid, I was well into monster trucks. It was really quite an extraordinary part of motoring, isn't it? And a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, we went to Monster Jam in Cardiff with my kids. My kids really don't like loud noises and loud environments, but they loved this. It was in the Principality Stadium, and they sort of, you can see in this picture, they kind of cover over the first maybe 10 or 15 rows, I guess, because you just get flung with dirt and stones as these things bat around. And we were right up the back, but it didn't matter at all. We saw all the famous monster trucks, including the most famous, which is probably Gravedigger on the screen right now. And it isn't just the spectacle of it. It's everything. It's the noise. It's the soft toy you buy on the way out. It's the food and drink. It's everybody else is there. Probably slightly dorky weirdos like me, who have always been into these sort of things and can't ever admit it to the women in our lives. But that is probably the one I'm most looking forward to this year. I'm going to take the kids over there. It's not very far from me, and it isn't that expensive for what it is. So 100% will be going to that, and I will probably miss the bigger, more famous events this year.
That's awesome, man.
Anybody been?
No.
To a Monster Jam?
Yeah. It feels like that must happen all the time in America.
Yeah, didn't you go like a couple of months ago? Because I remember you weren't you taken to something?
I was taken to one. I'm just going to stick it on the slide deck here, Sammy, like live slide chuck. Let's see if we can put that up. There we go. It's after the...
It feels like when it comes to the UK, it's a little bit of Americana. And we love America, really. I love all the mad stuff you guys do out there. And so I just think it's such an extraordinary event.
Is long. I don't know if you're able to put this up, Sam. Slide 13. I've just chucked it in. There's me in Sparkle Smash. We all wanted to get into Megalodon, which is a shark one.
Yeah.
But is driven by a woman, Michaela, who's lovely, but she's very small, and a full-size man wouldn't fit. But yeah, it's cool as shit. I managed to blag my way to us all getting free tickets to it, which was very cool. Got a lot of kudos with the shark team. But yeah, it's wicked. Like I sent you guys a bunch of pictures, right? Like the engines are cool. Everything about it is really cool. But to your point, Hunty, certainly for me, the interest there was because it's a bit different. It's bonkers cars. I don't personally think I'd have a ton of interest in going to many of these events if you guys weren't going. Like, I'd do whatever if you guys are going, right? Like it's a trip with your boys. But in and of itself, these things don't particularly grab me, especially. For me, the joy of motoring is being in the car, the feel of the road, blah, 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 blah. The one thing I'm semi-interested in, transitioning a little bit, and I'll go back to you, is I've watched a series, there's only two of them, I think, of an EV cannonball run that's on YouTube, which has failed spectacularly both times. These guys have got
can't think of any reason, John. There can't be any reason why these things would fail.
They have shit the bed massively. So this is the Rivians. So one of the lads works for Rivian. It's got a bunch of mates, electrical engineers, bits and pieces. They've kitted the whole deck out with extra batteries with a view that they could just go for miles and miles and miles. Seems like a fun project. Completely failed each time for various reasons. But I like the principle of something like that, where it's pushing the envelope, or it's a bit different. Paris-Dakar Rally always seemed interesting for that same reason. It's bonkers shit. But just road car spec with a little bit extra in a sort of track environment. Like you say, Hunty, it feels a bit just like, all right.
Honestly, I can't think of anything more boring than watching 100 Teslas driving at the speed limit through a country. It's just the worst. Don't get me wrong, I like a Tesla for everyday motoring, but to put it into an event just makes it super boring. Even what's the F1 equivalent? What do they call it?
The Formula E.
EGP or something. Formula E.
Yeah. Formula E, yeah.
It should be great because those things are fast. And they do it on all sorts of cool street tracks and stuff, but it is just dull.
There's
If
no
you're
noise.
if you're from Formula E and you want to send us tickets, just don't bother because we won't go.
Yeah,
Like, we've got
no.
No,
interest.
no. Listen,
I'm
you do
ready
that.
to be convinced,
Change
man.
our mind.
But
Change our mind, Formula E.
yeah, I feel like it will take
If
off.
you're
off.
Formula One, on the other hand, yes, please.
I'm
Yeah,
with you, Sam.
It'll be a generational shift, right? I mean, this whole podcast is about the last generation to do something or to be something. Maybe the next generation will be much more interested in that and will shun all the stupid mechanical noise and exhaust notes that we really love. But probably not, right? It's just fundamentally, objectively more exciting to watch something spitting flames than it is to watch something silently wafting down a motorway.
I think there's been a big change, or not big, but there's been a change over the years in these events as well. Because I can remember going like with my dad to the Earl's Court, the motor show, every other year, and it was great in the 90s and the 2000s. You could sit in the cars, you could see stuff. There was free stuff. You got excited. You could go up and see all the latest and greatest. And I think cars in recent years have just got a bit more boring. Yeah, if I
Yes,
can
all
say
cars
so. They're
are
not as
exactly the same now. Like not all. 95% of them are exactly the same blob with four wheels.
To that point, I went to the motor show in Germany. It's not in Frankfurt anymore. It's in Munich now. And I went. It was on my doorstep last year, and it was just dull. The stands have maybe one car on them now. They're electric cars, so I'm not interested anyway. But the rest of the stand is all about eco stuff, and there's no noise. There's no draw. There's no big fun excitement to these things. It seems it's all become very very corporate and boring.
Do you remember back when we were kids, Pompey? Sorry to cut in. Back when we were kids, TVR launched a car and had naked women on the stand.
Great.
I was going to say,
I would have bought that.
No coffee anymore.
Just flat out naked.
But you wouldn't be allowed to do that anymore. But
No,
I'm
of course not.
really
You shouldn't have done it
surprised.
then.
I think the last
No.
bastion is biking though, super bikes. Like I think,
Okay.
I think
I'm really surprised by the stat you said that the attendance is up. But is that because in our day, if I can phrase it like that, without the internet and things, it was for enthusiasts and people, word of mouth spread it around, but people that knew about these things went to them. Whereas now, every man and his dog knows about this event, and Goodwood is just, for instance, is just going to gain traction because more and more people are going, and it's bigger and it's great, and that's where you've got to go. That's the place to be. That's the place to go. So it's online, and more people are going to go. So it's only going to get bigger and bigger, but other things are going to get smaller and smaller as a result. The one that I really want to go to though, with you guys, similar to the Le Mans, would be the Nürburg 24-hour there.
yeah.
Take
Great
a
choice.
crate of
Le
beer
Mans,
and a
right.
tent and just go and sit there and watch that, because there will be a lot of noise for 24 hours.
When is that, mate? Do you know
It's a good
what time
question.
of year it is?
We can edit that in.
Why don't we look that up and make that a New Year's resolution that we'll actually keep?
Oh,
It's a great
that's a good
resolution.
resolution. Yeah.
Put it 2 years away. Give us a lot of time. Lock it in the calendar. Let's do it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've always wanted to get back to Le Mans as
2027.
well, but it's very hard, isn't it, to get a group
27
together
or
at the same
28?
time.
Yeah.
When, mate? Say again?
2027 or 2028? Let's have a look. What
27.
time
27.
27.
Oh,
27.
Let's see how
So it's
27
talking
goes.
about. So it's around May time, towards
Tough
the end
this
of
year.
May.
Let's do it 2027.
2027.
Oh yeah, can't be this year.
This
All
will
right.
be an interesting lesson. Us organising our diaries.
We can
Should we
see if we
take-
stick to the resolution or not.
But also, I don't know why we're having this debate. We are not in control of our calendars in any way, shape, or form. So
New
we're all
Year's
saying
resolution.
we're saying
Get in
we're saying
control of our own
numbers.
calendars.
that's never going to happen, though, is it?
Maybe you aren't.
I was just
actually
about to
get-
say I am
Yeah,
now in
in
control
control.
of my calendar, so that's all good. I'll
there
be
you
there.
go. And I look, a New Year's resolution for me, actually backed by Ali, is to start making some damn decisions on what we do every weekend and where we go on holiday and stuff. Because it has defaulted to Ali for too
Well, there you
long.
go.
So
Put it
there
in
we
your
go. So
diary
the
now,
next-
and then it's done.
well, importantly, what Ali will find out very soon is that she and the kids are coming on holiday with me to the Nürburgring 24-hour race.
24 hour.
They can be the top of the dinosaur.
27th till the 30th of May, 2027.
All right, put it in a diary. Sam, what are you looking forward to this year in the calendar?
Well, when I looked at that question, I think, look, events are incredible, aren't they? Right, and I think what you said is dead. They're a substitute. They're not a replacement for, I think, that the ownership experience of having a car. And obviously, I've gone fully off the deep end with mine into ownership levels that maybe only really John has got into the horrendousness of. And an event's just like an individual little hit, isn't it? It's not like a beautiful relationship. And I genuinely believe I have a relationship with my car now, which is both sad and also I think maybe quite cool. But I don't need to drive it. I don't need to drive. That's probably not illegal, but I don't need to drive it every day to feel hugely connected to it. I walk past it in the garage. I see it as I walk past every single day. And that does more for me than one weekend surrounded by all kinds of other cars and other people's cars. I do think, though, the younger people thing, we alluded to it in that prelude. They're just going to events because it just all feels so out of reach, just financially,
that's what I was going to say.
Practically, emotionally. It's just so sad. And my worry is some of the cars that we've all enjoyed are becoming more like, I don't know, like watches or guitars or antiques. Like fewer and fewer people can play them, like more people admire them. So you're just getting this nostalgia for things, whereas ownership, and particularly if you think about my experience, is just this huge financial risk that most people, quite sensibly, and obviously I could not either, but it's too late now. I'm fully off the cliff. Sunk cost fallacy, we are way past that. They just can't stomach the financial risk, and I get it. So, but to your question around events I'm excited about, one, I'm excited because I've finally convinced my children to stop playing cricket, which means we have a whole summer now to do things. Obviously, football and rugby season is over. Cricket is now gone. We now are doing things in the summer, which we all agree is great. So I'm excited about. I'm now a fellow at Goodwood. They've milked some more cash out of me before I become a member, where they will milk me more. So I'm going to my first members meeting, which I've never been to. So I'm quite excited about that. So me, Lindsay, and the kids are going to that as a prelude to becoming a full member. So I think I'm less excited about the cars, more excited about, does it live up to some of the myth I've heard? I get the impression the answer to that is probably no. So that's slightly depressing. I've never been to a Bicester Scramble. Is this the year that I go? I went on the website yesterday. No, they're all sold out. So that's great. So maybe today, this isn't the year we go to Bicester Scramble. But your point around those smaller, more intimate events, I'm very excited about going to things as part of my my new Jaguar Enthusiast Club membership. So I've been invited to the Surrey event at Brooklands to talk about my car. I'm going to go to that. They said I might be the youngest person in the room by some margin, which I'm also quite excited about. We're going to discuss the upcoming article on my car in JEC. So I'm quite excited about that. So it's maybe those smaller things. I've been invited to do a hill climb in it, which I think it's ready for. I think, as long as it doesn't break. But in theory, it's ready for a hill climb. So someone's going to have to come with me. John, obviously, we have been to our friends at Swallows. Cars and Coffee beckons. They've invited us.
I'm ready for a hill climb, mate. Let's go. I will co-pilot any day.
Yeah. I mean, look, the team at Swallows just email me all the time and say, do you want to come and do stuff? And because obviously from their point of view, they love seeing the car out. They did all the work to it. People are excited about it. There's lots of stuff going on with.
They haven't asked me. They haven't asked me to go. I've taken my generic F-Pace there for a service recently. They haven't asked me anything.
No. Well, I think the problem is they have to obviously wait. My car's out of the garage, so Chris Harris's car is now in the garage. So I have to wait for Chris Harris's car to leave before mine can go back in, because one of them has to be there at all times, apparently. So yeah, I know I'm really excited. The one we didn't do last year that I got really excited about last year, and obviously for loads of reasons we could not make it work, it's the classic car show at NEC.
Yeah, we should go there. It feels like that is that's where it all ends up, isn't it? We were talking earlier on about cars being sort of amorphous blobs that all look the same. They don't have really any personality between them, apart from maybe when you get to the Kia EV9, it becomes a bit rad, or the new Toyota Land Cruiser is kind of interesting. But most cars are just the same old shit, aren't they? probably the same thing underneath, rebadged as something else. It's just boring. Where do you go when you've got all that stuff you've got bored of all that stuff? Go to the old stuff. Go to the classic cars. That's where you've gone in your buying journey, Sam.
The classics in the NEC, you're gonna see the cars probably from our youth nowadays. I'm afraid to say those are now the classics. So
the classic Vauxhall Nova 1.3 SR with a bass box in the boot.
Beautiful,
perfect.
Your Golf might be in there, hun.
Saxo VTR, blue lights underneath, brilliant.
I'd love to go to that museum.
Yeah,
I think on the classic car point. So I messaged you about this the group, and Sam replied. So there's a place called Joe Macari, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, in Wandsworth, which is an absolutely brilliant showroom. They have these amazing classic cars, like a Bond car, all sorts of stuff, motorbikes, just everything. And so I took the kids in there because I was like, I wonder if they will find this acceptable. Didn't care that I wasn't looking for a car or wanted to buy a car. Just wanted to take my kids in to have a look around. They're really lovely. Let us look around. My kids are only, for the interest of people listening, 6 and 8, but they absolutely loved it. And they didn't have to get in the cars. It was just looking at them, and that was interesting for them. So I think like a classic car show might actually be quite good fun for them.
Yeah, fun for all of us too.
I think anything where you can get involved. Don't. It's not just this boring corporate faceless like the motor show was that I was talking about earlier. Something where you can get in them, you can hear them, smell them, like John's, like just to get involved with them it's great. It's great for the audience.
Actually, maybe that's the problem with Festival of Speed these days and the other big ones, is that to get into the BMW stand, really, to get to the good bit, you have to own a BMW and have to show them the key, right? And that's the same for all of it. So there's always these exclusive bits, which actually is not the point of these events. You want to go and see all of it. If you're making the effort to go there, you should be allowed into all of it. I want to see the Bentleys.
Loads of keys off of eBay.
Look at my key ring.
Big janitorial ring with all. So echoing what Sam said, I think most people coming up now will never afford fun motoring or a house or a girlfriend or whatever. And experiential spending is king. And as we get to EVs and self-driving, never owning, never driving, whatever, maybe that's the end. But with one ex-girlfriend many moons ago, she bought a gravel track day for her ex-boyfriend and still had the ticket for it because they'd broken up. That was an absolute hoot. Just an old Sierra on some kind of gravel track in the middle of nowhere, just on some geezer's field. And it was absolutely brilliant. Just throwing it sideways on the gravel around the track. It probably couldn't have cost her more than a couple of £100 tops. It was brilliant. And similarly, like what they call stock car racing, things like that, like stuff like that, which is cheap and easy, like old crappy cars that you're actually getting to see and be around and see them crashing or having fun and getting in the mixer. It's almost the Greyhound racing equivalent of going to the F1, right? It's pennies on the dollar, but you're actually in the mixer having good fun with your mates and getting to experience something rather than something being triple XL prestige that costs you way more than you can afford and you never get to go. Talking about, you were saying, Hunty, about cars. It's hard to get excited about cars anymore. As you guys know, I'm a bit of a weird niche case in terms of small garage, EV interest, whatever. Sam, if you could go to slide 13, please. I was in visiting my brother the other day, and on the high street, there was a Suzuki Jimny. What's it called? Suzuki Jimny Sierra, which is just the coolest, cutest thing.
But they are great. A Jimny is amazing.
They're so cool little guys. And I've seen someone make a convertible model. So this is my little personal pervy pet project of like, can I get one of these? They don't import them to America. So this is another one of like absolutely impossible problems that I do not need on my plate. But I love the idea of getting a white one of these with all the mod kit and convertible or whatever. This could be my ski car.
That is so shit. The shittest thing I've ever seen. Like,
Love it.
You can get in the sea with
I
that.
love this thing. I fucking love it.
Like, absolutely. There's so many things wrong with that. We're not even going to get into your garage, right? But that is a travesty. And the answer is no. Absolutely not. If you go anywhere
Just
near that,
point of fact, the Suzuki Jimny convertible, with the cost of the conversion and the import, will cost less than 1 day of your car in that garage getting some fuel pump fix or some shit. They will give it to me. It comes as a free option.
I'll tell you what, you talked about, I think usually when we're talking about this, it's sort of experiential side. So the boys are very into their F1. We've done a few sims recently. It's Jake's birthday this weekend. Or not his birthday, his party this weekend. We're going to F1 Arcade. They're very excited about that. But we did one over Christmas. And it will cheer you up to know that I went with my, what would he be? I don't know. Let's go with stepbrother.
Some guy.
Some guy that we spent Christmas with. Vaughan, his name is. But I cannot work out the family. They're too complicated. Too many family connections. But he and I went and we said, right, we're not going to give the boys any quarter whatsoever. So the first race we did was at Spa, and we did two. Well, we did one at Spa, one at Monza. Spa, GT3 RSs. All I would say is that Vaughan and I cleared up, absolutely cleaned up, right?
You seem very proud for beating small children, but carry on.
We were very proud, right?
To children, and we beat them.
However, we then went to Monza in F1 cars. Not a prayer. Dan and Jake out of sight. Could not.
Really?
Genuinely, both of us could not have tried harder. Even communicating with each other, going like, "Are you trying? I'm really trying. I'm also really trying." But Jake in particular, and in fairness to Dan, only seconds, points of seconds of laps of him, just kept gaining lead after lead after lead after lead. Our reactions, we just could not keep up with them. So the sim now, the sim quality of it, we just could not do it. Just their reaction times are just off the scale. So I really enjoyed that. So we're really excited about going this weekend, because this is, I'm not excited because it's at the F1 Arcade thing. If they're really good, it's going to be properly embarrassing, I think. We're going to have a load of Jake's mates. But I think some of the experiential stuff is getting interesting. You talked about Goodwood as well, John. I can't go to festival speed every year. I just find it really boring now. Like last year was really fun, but I have no ambition. But the one that's frustrating me, I don't know if you guys have looked at this, Goodwood Revival, because we all talk about it every year. Goodwood Revival isn't a problem with the idea. It's a scheduling issue. It's just before the kids go back to school. It's just at a stupid time of year. So nobody really wants to go.
It's rough. It's also my kid's birthday is almost always the weekend before or after. And so, and Ali's dad always goes, and I've always got a ticket. And we've had a great time there in the past, but it's always near the kid's birthday. It's always near the kids going back to school. You just can't go. They've got to move it. Otherwise, middle-aged dads like us can't go. Even though we've got all the kit, we've got the flat cap. I'm quite keen to try the members meeting, actually. I hear good reports from Ali's dad about that, and I haven't yet made one. So I need to get on that this year.
Okay, so we're going to go Pompey, Shomit, back to me, and then we'll move on after that, I think.
I said my piece.
Oh, so the only thing I was going to say, just on your point about F1, that's the only real motorsports thing that I'm looking forward to this year in the UK is Silverstone. I think last year was absolutely amazing. It's the closest kind of battle there's been since like 2010, where you've got three people with a genuine chance of winning the world championship in the last race. And that has not happened for a very long time. So I'm very excited about that. It's unlikely that I'll get to go, but if I can, I will. That's it.
Good call.
While you've raised that, on that weekend, we're going to try and do be back for that weekend and do like mega week of all the stuff, Wimbledon, Flower Show, etc., big summer party of ours, all invited. Obviously, Teddington Cricket Club probably instead of boat trip. Saturday, Henley, Sunday, Silverstone, smash them all out. So if there is any prospect of us getting Sunday Silverstone tickets, let's try and all do it.
Cool. And just for all the listeners of the podcast, that's an open invite to Simon.
I was just going to say the same thing.
All
That's a
of
very
his
kind invite.
events.
Have you
Brilliantly,
seen-
One listener,
genuinely seemed to forget what we were doing there for a second. So
Have you seen?
John's mate in India is welcome to join us at the MPL Cricket Club.
Go on, Ashish, you're in. Have you seen how expensive it is to go to Silverstone now, though? It is
No.
hundreds of pounds, and to get a grandstand ticket, it's like 700 quid.
I've got a couple of ins, Hunty. Got a
Have
couple
you?
of ins.
Excellent. Sign me up. Right, let's move on, shall we?
let's move on. So,
It's a shame we don't have any music for this.
well, just why don't you just hold there, Simon, just for 1 second while I fuck around with things. So we've talked about cars, and now we get to, I think, let's be honest, it's all of our favourite time. It's
even
time
my favourite
for
time. Oh, that makes it feel like the X-Files, like it's definitely
That's
not
what I
true.
said. Yeah.
Yeah.
just from a copyright point of view, I didn't base it off the X-Files.
That is original audio, I promise.
It's original
Governor.
audio produced, which we own the copyright for.
As a very
All
tiny
right.
sidebar, I was in hospital yesterday getting scans and bits and pieces, and there was a piano in the lobby which was being unplayed. Sam, you talked about learning to play the piano, and it occurred to me that would be the first song that popped into my head. Like, if you could only play one song, we had to just rock up and go, X-Files theme would be great.
Learn it, Deaders, and play it for us next time.
And play for us next time. John,
All right.
you're up.
Conspiracy corner. This is a good one this time because it's quite related to activity in the US. I'm pleased that you're on, Deaders, because you're probably, I imagine, very pleased about Trump's recent incursion into Venezuela.
Delighted.
But so before we go back in time, then it's worth saying this. Whenever there's tension between the US and countries in its own backyard, Cuba, Venezuela, anywhere in Central America, really, the internet immediately fills up with claims about oil or drugs or both. Covert operations, false flags, and secret military plans. But every now and then, history shows us something genuinely uncomfortable. Think about what's happening right now in Venezuela. Recently, the US launched a military operation in Venezuela that resulted in the capture of Maduro and his wife. The backdrop of US military assertiveness is exactly the context in which Operation Northwoods was born. So let's go through it. To understand why it even existed, you need a bit of background. In 1959, Fidel Castro led the Cuban Revolution, overthrowing the US-backed Batista government. Cuba quickly aligned itself with the Soviet Union right on America's doorstep. The US imposed an economic embargo, severed diplomatic ties in 1961, and tensions went through the roof. Bay of Pigs, nuclear missiles, the whole Cold War greatest hits. By 1962, the US military was desperate to remove Castro, and that is when Operation Northwoods was written. Northwoods was a classified proposal produced by senior officials in the US Department of Defense. The idea was blunt. Stage a series of fake attacks, blame them on Cuba, and use public outrage to justify a full-scale invasion. The proposal included things like faking terrorist attacks in US cities, blowing up a US ship near Cuba, staging hijacks or shoot-downs of civilian aircraft, manufacturing evidence, casualties, and funerals to sell the story. One plan even suggested secretly swapping a real passenger plane for a drone, destroying it remotely, and announcing that Cuba had shot it down. This plan was formally approved by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, including their chairman at the time, General Lyman Lemnitzer, and sent to the Secretary of Defense. Thankfully, President John F. Kennedy rejected it outright. He refused to authorize it, and not long after, Lemnitzer was removed as chairman of the Joint Chiefs. The plan was shelved and stayed secret for decades. It only became public in 1997 when the US government declassified it through the National Archives as part of the JFK records release. So, it isn't a theory, it isn't speculation, it's a documented plan that was seriously considered and thankfully stopped. Which leaves us with the uncomfortable question. If someone told you this in the pub over a beer, would you believe it? Pompey.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I think I would absolutely believe it. As you were telling the story of through all of that. it seems entirely plausible and believable that the US would come up with those things as they did, as you said. But yeah, absolutely. I think I would believe it if somebody told me that over a pint.
So you think the US would happily blow up a plane and blame it on Cuba to start a war?
Definitely.
All right. That is, you're
Without,
basically American now.
I think they would. I think they would do a lot of things to be able to start a war.
Yeah. Go Deaders.
Yeah, I mean, it's your standard false flag, right? It's a swapped out plane, so they're not even going to blow up a ton of Americans, which makes it more palatable. Seems pretty believable. It's not outside the pale of stuff that America has done. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it definitely is true, but it's certainly within the bounds of stuff the US has done. So yeah, let's go. Yeah, sure.
All right, we've got 2 truths. Sam, what do you reckon?
What was the Joint Chiefs of Staff chap's name again?
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff was, I'm reading this, I've never heard his name, Lyman Lemnitzer.
That just sounds like bullshit. It's a bullshit name.
It's a hell of a name, isn't it?
It could be
Hang it on this.
This is chemtrails all over again.
This is chemtrails over. I heard that name was like, I mean, yeah, you get stupid name people in your country, Simon, but that's a fucking stupid name. So
Should have gone with Bob Tucker.
Chemtrails aren't conspiracy, so.
Do you think that the US government would blow up a ship near Cuba on their own and blame it on the Cuban government to start a war with them?
No, I think back at that time, I think they might have, like you say, thought about it. But did they think about it that much? They were doing some stupid stuff with Castro's cigars, I recall, right?
Mm-hmm.
But would they go further than that? Because some of those plans weren't signed off, right? Some of the more basic ones, which would just kill Castro, they couldn't even get that done. So the idea that they could go even further than that when they couldn't even execute the Bay of Pigs, I feel it's, for me, it's
They
a
didn't
no.
go further, right? It was just a proposal.
No,
Yes,
I
it
agree. It was
didn't. None of this
No,
happened.
no.
This is all planned and stopped by JFK before it went ahead.
I'm feeling my context at the time, as whilst it was obviously a very heightened situation, I feel like they came up with all kinds of different things then, and maybe they did come up with elements of this, but did they come up with the whole thing? I'm feeling no. I feel there were lots of things they did come up with that they maybe didn't do, but this feels too much for me, and that man's name, no.
It's like on the episode of the Traitors, just focusing on one like completely irrelevant fact.
What else is there?
Name.
I've got to go with something. Got to go with something.
All right, so we've got 2 truths and a false. That's where are you?
I've changed my mind. I'm going false. So false flag operations obviously happen all the time. Or, well, they could happen all the time. It's quite an easy thing to do. But my main thing that makes me think it's not true is they didn't need a false flag operation. They literally, if they just they could have invaded Cuba without needing to get the public on side if the Cubans had sided with Russia. So it's not something that you need to like try and create a catalyst for war. The catalyst is already there. They could just go and do it.
It's a good point. It is a good point, Duts. Unfortunately, you are wrong. This one is true.
Oh.
It's completely real. Northwoods was a genuine US military proposal from 1962 suggesting false flag attacks on American targets to justify a war with Cuba. It was formally approved by senior military leadership, but rejected by Kennedy and only became public when the documents were declassified in 1997. Amazing what the Americans are capable of, isn't it? Perhaps it's not that amazing with the recent disgusting chat about taking over Greenland.
Ridiculous.
Unbelievable, isn't it? But there we go. The Americans, it turns out, can do all sorts of stuff and feel okay about it.
Yeah. Well, the leaders of America, as with all of history, 99% of the country is just completely irrelevant in these things, right? Just drinking beer, doing podcasts, hoping everything works out in the end.
Yes, hoping NATO doesn't fall apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
All right.
crossed.
Well done, guys. Let's move on to the predictions round.
So, conscious of time, we have a choice. Let's have a democratic vote. Obviously, we need to explain who won the last prediction,
Yeah.
but we might not have time to do a new one. Now, I'm conscious we did 2 last week, or before Christmas.
Well, we just
so
smashed through it quickly, Sam.
Okay.
or we could hold and we could not do a new one. We could skip that just in the interest of time and move on to music. What do we fancy?
Do all of it quickly.
Do all of it quickly. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's not what I was going to say, but I'm happy to go with it.
Pomps?
Yep.
No, that's
Go
not an
with it.
answer.
Go with it
with it,
quickly.
okay. Yep, Chuck. John?
Yeah, no, we want to go with it, don't we? Get the
All right, we're
but
in.
let's talk about who won the last one. We were talking about Mariah Carey's Christmas streaming record, how many times it would stream. We were actually talking about on the whole of the internet, on all streaming platforms, weren't we? But I notice here we have a streaming history on Spotify. Explain yourself, Sam Ellis.
Come on.
So we had 2 issues. One was the time period. We agreed on the whole of December versus the Christmas period, which I would argue goes up to Boxing Day. Okay, but we agreed the whole of December. Second thing we did agree was it would be the whole of the internet. I could not get all the data. However, I could get accurate data on. So I got into a whole rabbit hole of trying to get the internet data for streaming. It's really quite difficult. But I could get Spotify. Okay. So we're going to have to just roll with that. But there's some good news. There's some good news. It works out for somebody. So somebody's going to be happy about the answer. Okay. So as you can see from the stats that I pulled up, it's a big hit on the 24th. It's also a big hit on the 25th. But there's a sort of steady plays in December. Okay. But I sat and patiently got out a spreadsheet and number by number entered this in all manually to get to this answer.
Really?
Are you ready?
Wow,
Yeah,
you
I could not.
no.
I know. I just couldn't be bothered. Even using all the different AI tools, none of them could work it out accurately. So I did it myself.
Send it to me. I'll do this shit.
Yeah, but I've seen your charts, so tracking things. So I decided, and it turns out I think it's worked out okay.
5,
So the answer on
209
Spotify.
million. Jesus, that's a lot. There's a lot of people listening to a terrible song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Was that-
So
I think, yeah.
I wonder who might have won.
I think it's Hunty. Oh, Pompey.
Hey.
I think I was close. Sam? What did I put? Something pretty close to this. 250 maybe.
Yeah, let me just bring it up. You had gone with 250.
But I was also guessing the whole of the internet. So maybe
You
if
were also guessing the whole of the internet.
Spotify is 208 million.
Yeah,
Maybe 40 million for the rest of the internet.
I thought we were only talking about Spotify when I made that guess.
Won.
Yeah.
Been robbed, Hunt.
Yeah. And I think Dan was listening to it on Apple Music. So we got 1 from Apple Music.
So
as
there's
well.
one listener.
So 1 listener from Dan.
All right.
Simon, I was 360 million. Simon, you said 600 million. So a little bit off this time. So
But that's
because
probably
Spotify
right
is one-
for the
it's
whole
small
internet.
poll.
could be
There we
right.
go.
Well,
Yeah.
could be right. Could be right if it was.
You're right. I mean, it is right technically, but here we are. Moving on.
All right, losers. On we go.
All right, Sam. Bitcoin. Let's go.
Let's go with Bitcoin. So this week's prediction. Bitcoin isn't just a crypto story anymore. It's become a proxy for confidence, risk, and sentiment. And January is when that confidence usually gets stress tested. It's when the market decides whether the previous trend was real or was it just end of year noise. So what will the price of 1 Bitcoin be in US dollars on the 28th of January 2026 at 23.59, i.e. the day before we record the next podcast? And so just to help us out while we're having this conversation, let me just pop up.
I want to see a chart with all of us on the side to see where we are.
What with all of our
Look-
personal Bitcoin positions.
No little heads going up and down.
Yeah.
So this
There
is
we go.
today. That's just Bitcoin to the United States dollar.
96,600. God damn
That's
it. That
just
is a lot of money in there.
It's a lot, isn't it? So my question is, what will the price of one Bitcoin be?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because obviously it's completely random, really. Although I did read the other day that it's become less random because all these big, firms like Vanguard, etc., have these ETFs which track crypto now, which has brought stability to it. So whereas previously it was, the normal stock market would crash or gold would crash or something, where the hell do you put your money? Chuck it in Bitcoin because why not, right? And but now that doesn't track in the same way as it used to even a year ago, because all these sort of mutual funds and ETFs have picked up on trackers following all these different cryptos. So I think it's going to be less volatile than it has been in the past. We've seen something like a $7,000 rise since Jan 1st, and I think that's probably because of a bit of geopolitical stress. Trump and Venezuela, Greenland, Ukraine carrying on, Iran is a fucking nightmare, and I think people are sort of trying to get out of classical markets. Maybe it could go up another 7,000, but $100,000 seems like a sort of big hurdle. Feels like maybe the market would see the price approaching 100 and have a little bit more sentiment to try and push it over. So I'm going to go $100,001.
Good numbers. Shomit?
So obviously it massively declined through October, November. I'd say it's been pretty stable-ish between like 85 and 95 for the last 3 months. As Hunty said, it fluctuates wildly and anything could fucking happen with Bitcoin. But I can't see a lot changing in the next couple of weeks. So I am going to undercut Hunty at 100,000. No. Yes, I am.
I should have known you'd do that. Yeah.
Sneaky pumps.
I think, what Hunter just said just now, I think the 100,000 is a big hurdle. I think it's got potential to go quite a bit more, but at the same time, there'll be a fair few investors who will have probably just below 100,000 set as a sell point to get out. So it's going to be a big resistance point. But I have faith in the old girl, and I'm going to go 110,000. So I think it's going to go up a little bit more. I see it going a lot more. It's like to its high. It was 124, I think it was. Is it highs or 125? In around August, it was. I think August, September time. And I think we're going to start going back that direction again. Maybe not now, but it's going to head that way. So 110.
Nice.
Excellent.
Log it down. Deaders is the only one with a significant long-term position in Bitcoin. I don't even know if it's still open. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that, Deaders. Where do you think it's going to go?
Reasons, etc. 105,000.
Okay.
And that is doing it at speed.
Thanks for your insight, Sam.
Well,
I'm sad we don't have Tim on here, because one of my favorite periods of our entire friendship group was when Tim went a bit too big on Bitcoin, and on a daily basis watched the number go wildly up or down as his net worth either plummeted or soared. I really missed that period. Just watching the sheer panic of WhatsApp every morning as he jumped on to say, "What should I do? What should I do?" I think you guys have said lots of this. Is Bitcoin trading on tech optimism anymore? Probably not. We're probably heading towards confidence. John, you mentioned ETFs, institutional access, macro awareness. So unless something fundamentally breaks, Bitcoin can probably sit at around 90-ish without collapsing. Does that tell you more that it's not a moonshot anymore? Is boring Bitcoin healthy Bitcoin? So I feel like hopefully now that we're out of Christmas and craziness, maybe things will stabilize. So I'm going to take the low end. Right, I'm going to go for 90,000.
Okay. All right.
No,
good.
Not go
Log them down.
Right.
Let's
Log
move on.
I'm going to go on a punt and say I've 100% won this.
Would you like to double down on your bet?
what does that mean?
Well, I haven't actually made a bet.
I've made one for you in my head. So
Okay.
I won't tell you the number, but do you want to double down on it?
Go on, Chunk.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what's going on.
That's
but
that's all your insurance money.
Sam gets to
for the
call
fixing
your wife
things.
back this time.
I have to tell it. I have to put on a calendar every time 5 meets 1.
You have a 5-on-1.
Jamie,
Okay.
5. Are we talking about someone's sister?
No,
let's move on.
I mean,
Okay,
this has
moving
gone
swiftly on.
wildly off
Swiftly on.
topic. Dutz, what was your bet?
100.
100. Okay,
So you got
cool.
90,
Okay.
100, 101,
Oh, you're still
110, 105.
105,
Great.
and I went 90. I went 90.
All right. Log it
Before
down.
we
Let's
get-
move on to the music
Log
rounds.
it, exactly, before we get lost. Jonathan, take us away.
All right. It's New Year, obviously. We're all hammering it in the gym, aren't we? Yes, we are.
Yes.
So you're in the gym at New Year's. The place is rammed and your body aches. What is the one single track that is going to get you through the workout? Sam.
I've really struggled with this. So I went to my trusty place for workouts, the Spotify You Can Do It playlist. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with this playlist. It
sounds awful.
No, it's excellent. And
Is
it's
it
been
full of
excellent
Disney hits?
No, sadly, there's very little Moana in
Motivational.
there. But it's an excellent workout playlist. But the thing I love about it is somebody is spending a lot of time curating it and making it better over time. Excellent tunes in there. I've been listening to it for a long time. I went through a variety of different songs, increasingly going, no, it's got to be that one. It's got to be this one. It's got to be that one. Until just before I came on this call, Jake had football training tonight. And I don't know where you are in the UK at the moment. It's been raining for a while. Jake,
Wah, wah.
wah, wah, wah. Poor Jake. Jake was dressed in underlayers on top and bottom, a rain jacket, a hat, gloves to go and play football because it's cold and it's been raining forever and the forecast was only to get worse. So I asked him in the car, what would you really want to pump you up? Because I'm going to drive you to football and throw you out and leave you there in the rain. And then I'm going to drive home and go and do this podcast. And I've not seen him the rest of the evening because Lindsay went to go and pick him up. And so I said to him, what would really get you pumped? And he came back with an absolutely brilliant answer, which was far better than any I came up with. And his answer was Watercolor by Pendulum.
Pendulum.
It's like,
That's a good call.
extreme.
Yeah.
Right, which is far better than my one I came up with, which was Strong by Romy and Fred again. Right, and he's right. And so I listened to it in the car with him, and we pumped him up, and then I threw him out into the rain and was like, "Have fun, Laverne," and left him. And yeah, I then listened to it on the way home as well. I was like, "Yeah, that's way better than any of my choices." So yeah, thank you to my son Jake for coming up with that absolute banger that I listened to 3 times on the way home while I sat in traffic.
If I ask my kids, they'd say Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters or some shit like that.
Yeah, Jake likes a bit of drum and bass.
But what
Nice.
would you say, Shamit? What's your pick?
So I found this unbelievably hard, like really hard, and especially like Sam probably knows this as well. Going to F45, they have really good like playlists constantly on, and they work really well. So I went back to like I used to run quite a lot. I don't run as much now, but I have a running playlist which is set out for like a 10K plus run, and at the beginning it kind of builds up and then it levels a little bit, and then there's kind of peaks and troughs and stuff. But I'm going to cheat because I couldn't pick between 2. So I've got a second place and the first place, which are the 2 that I always have at the beginning of my running track. So the first one is Avicii Levels.
Nice.
And it's just the way it builds you into the run. And then my main song that gets me, and it's quite weird because is it like, it's not like a kind of dancey type track, but it's Heartbeats by Chase and Stasis. And it's just that kind of that beat and the way that it fluctuates and stuff just gets my heart pumping.
Love that.
All right.
Love it.
That's an
That
excellent
is.
choice.
What's yours, buddy?
I've got one that starts gentle, has some fun breakdowns, super positive message. It's not overly energetic tempo wise, which is fine for weight training. Big emotional sing along. I don't know if you guys agree that love is like a hard prison wall, but love can leave you standing so tall. You are gold. Gold by Spandau Ballet. I challenge anyone to listen to Gold by Spandau Ballet and not just get massively stuck in. It's not your standard another Thursday in the gym. You said the 1st of January, get back into it. This is like anyone listens to Gold by Spandau Ballet, it's let's fucking go music.
Excellent. Pompey, what have you got?
Well, I mean, obviously, in this genre specifically, there are any number of après ski and Oktoberfest.
Are we finally getting Nicky Lauda?
Yes, we must. Well, there he is. There he is.
So, yeah, I was struggling as well. I mean, I could have a first place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place to do this, but the one that instantly sprung to mind, and I stick with it, is by Macklemore, and We Danced, because I've listened to that for a long, long time, and it's my go-to ski track. It's my go-to anything just to like pump me up and keep going. And yeah, it's my song. I like it.
Excellent.
I like the idea of us making a let's go / ski, because Gold is my snowboarding like energizer song as well. I like the idea of us making a little playlist for this. It'd be good.
It's quite an eclectic playlist though, isn't it? With Pendulum and Macklemore
Spandau Ballet.
Spandau Ballet. It's quite weird. Well, let me tell you mine. You guys said that you found this hard. I didn't find it hard at all. I tell you what, it's definitely not. It's definitely not Everybody Hurts by REM, is it? You don't. There are studies out there which has looked at this as if you needed a study to tell you that high BPM music is going to be more motivational than slow, low tempo, sort of sub 90 BPM. There is a literal study out there that has done this by Cara Georges and Priest, Music in the Exercise Domain, a Review and Synthesis. I guess it's more interesting than just that headline figure, but slow, low tempo music has been shown to increase perceived exertion. So it feels harder with slower music. So with that logic, you've got to go for the highest BPM music you can possibly find, haven't you?
1000 by Moby.
Yeah, I did think about a few others. So I had a AC/DC Thunderstruck for a while, which I think is actually pretty like rocking, motivational, kind of relentless rock, keep going kind of a track. Then you think of the sort of attitude stuff, the sort of more psychological stuff like Lose Yourself by Eminem, which is like pure grit bound into a song, isn't it? You've got that I Used to Run to the Top Gun soundtrack. If you think about slightly homoerotic Playing with the Boys song,
and also going into the danger zone.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's hugely motivational because it reminds you of that scene where they're all playing beach volleyball with oiled up six packs in that film. And actually, that is pretty motivational to me. Not because of the homoerotic nature, but because I want to be one of those guys. But anyway, that's not my choice. My choice is another Pendulum one. So Sam, I was pleased that you chose Pendulum because I have too. I've chosen the Pendulum remix of Voodoo People by the Prodigy.
Yeah,
if you haven't listened to it, it is fucking great, and you should go and check it out. It is the opposite of the low BPM, harder exertion bit in the study, and it will get you through almost anything. Pendulum remix of Voodoo People. Go and listen to it.
Nice.
I think John, Simon was there. I think you were there as well, Shomit. Memories are very hazy. Some of us went to the greatest gig of all time. I genuinely believe this. We went to see Prodigy at Milton Keynes, except they were supported by first Chase and Status, then Pendulum, and then we saw Prodigy. When they played Voodoo People, there was a point where it was like Mad Max. Like it was everyone for themselves. Like you could have died. Someone could have thrown a trident, and if you'd got hit, you would have just had to accept it and continue dancing. It was that crazy. I've never been to anything like it. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, interesting. We both went with Pendulum. I had a few others as well that I didn't quite that just didn't quite have the hit. And when you were talking about that beginning bit, your body aches. What is going to get you through it? you're right. It's that BPM, isn't it?
It's a BPM. Anything high BPM.
And I think you're right, Dutz, as well. A little shout out. Obviously, you and I have joined the F45 cult and we're fully indoctrinated, but they do have great music. And whoever's in charge of that deserves a medal, because it's spot on every session, irrespective of the day that you go. It doesn't matter what class you go to. The music is brilliant there. And it's half the reason, I would say, that people, maybe not quite half the reason, but it's a genuine reason people go, because somebody has very obviously spent a lot of time on that. Simon, do you want to give us a final comment before we sign off?
I would challenge Hunties anything high BPM. I listen to a lot of high BPM stuff with like trance and techno and whatever. And a lot of it will stay at a level and float in and out of melodies and whatever, which is fine and dandy-ish. But you guys have settled on drum and bass for quite high BPM, but not actually really high. That's got a lot of up and down flow and punch to it, and a lot of emotional get-go. I think that's maybe more crucial. You can go higher BPM and lose almost the connection to the sort of workout or running speed or whatever. I think there's maybe a sweet spot that's quite high, but not too high.
What, mate, let me just ask before we go, what is higher BPM? What are you listening to here? And why haven't I ever heard of it?
What kind of BPMs are...
We're at, for Pendulum Voodoo people, we're at 175 BPM.
Oh, okay. Really? Okay. So most of Pendulum stuff is like, okay, yeah.
Which is equivalent to my heart rate when I'm running for the first pint in the pub.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, but I don't know. So, yeah, trance and some techno is going to be same or faster, but not as much punch. There's something about the drum and bass punch, I think, that gives you a bit more.
All right. We need to check this out in the meantime, and we'll report back in the next podcast.
I think what's happened there is you've called his bluff and he's back down.
Once we got a playlist with BPMs, I'd be interested to see. I bet you could throw up a bunch of similar BPM stuff that wouldn't be the same level of let's fucking go, even though it's the same BPM or higher.
Well, look, before we go, we should remind people that we are actually putting a Spotify playlist together with all of these tracks, and it is going to be the weirdest playlist, isn't it? We've got Belinda Carlisle on here alongside Pendulum. What the hell is happening?
They're not going to run together. Do not play this on random.
And on that note, it's time to end.
Yeah, it very much is. And luckily, from a playlist point of view, it's done on an episode by episode basis. I'm still not sure how Spandau Ballet fits in, but just like this episode, it has been gold. So, listen, chaps, thanks very much. Let's have a little wave, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks all.
Cheers.